I guess I should say anything for anybody that's watching on a potential replay. What's up? How are you? We are going to be live reacting to the first Futureverse TV series. They're calling it The Vision. It's got Aaron and Shara in it. Looks like they're making a lot of hype and all the goods about it, so we'll see what's kind of shared within this. It's been a while since we had like strictly a Futureverse dedicated talk. I know at the beginning of the year they had something, but yeah, that was at the beginning of the year. Then there's been like a lot of side pieces, but we are down to 10 seconds on the clock. We're also waiting for Bildo. Oh, never mind. He just called me. And he's going to be joining me for this live. We'll probably have a round table afterwards. So we'll see. What's up, dude?
What's going on? Sorry about that.
Nah, you're good. It's just starting.
Okay. Are you on?
Yeah.
Or where are we?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Or am I just watching this on my own?
Yeah, what's up, Downtime? Yeah, I'll be interested to see how Craig does. I'm surprised it's also live. I thought it was going to be like a pre-recorded.
Oh, shit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Why? Can you not hear me?
Oh, okay. There you are. I turned on the video, so I'm watching it now. But I couldn't hear you for a second. I might put this on my computer.
You're good.
instead.
Bildo's just ruining the intro for anybody watching. Sorry. I'm just kidding. So, are you seeing all of them going over everything right now? They're showing like everything in between. Okay, now they're showing the cars. Wow, yeah, they're showing everything here.
Trailer. Whoa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yo. Let's go. The car's coming.
That was a listen, that intro, bravo, bravo. That was clean. Now let's see if there's any production qualities with the live rendition.
You're tuning into Futureverse TV, and this is the Vision episode. I'm your host, Craig O. So let's get to it. Before I do, I want to say something that's really from the heart. I'm truly grateful to everyone who has joined on this journey.
If you're watching on the Twitch stream, let me know, because hopefully the volume's fine.
A role that
I'm on YouTube right now.
And I am committed to creating top-level conversational content that captivates innovators, tech pioneers, founders, and most importantly, you, the audience, and the community participants. So let's get right into our introduction. Aaron McDonald is an industry veteran, a serial entrepreneur, and was named Ernst & Young's Technology Entrepreneur of the Year in 2019. Recognized as
Entrepreneur of the Year 2019. I didn't even know that.
IDG, with a track record of managing portfolios in excess of $1 billion.
Yo, what's up, Fizzy?
Of Web3 innovation, and is known to be a highly skilled problem solver. Cher Senderoff is a tech entrepreneur and venture capitalist. She was honored on Forbes 30 Under 30, Rolling Stone Futures 25 list, and she co-founded the blockchain venture fund Raised in Space, and now leads Futureverse, aiming to shape the internet's future.
True.
When you combine the talents displayed by these two co-founders, you end up with 11 metaverse companies all wrapped into one, with 250 employees around the world, and millions in funding to continue to grow the metaverse technology, from music to gaming to applications that build off of artificial intelligence. Every metaverse company within the ecosystem is built on top of the root network. Futureverse is for all of us, creators, companies, and communities. And the goal is a seamless, interoperable experience. As I said before, I'm your host, Craig O, and this is our Vision episode. Quality conversational content.
I'm surprised it didn't have like a rolling video, because he's just reading off of a script here.
Growth forward. Let's dive into the metaverse.
They should be like throwing videos over this or something.
GM, Shara, and Aaron, how are you?
All right, there's Shara, and there's
Craig.
Aaron. It looks
Great
like
to be on
it's
here.
early in the morning.
Yeah, quite the intro.
Gotta
But I think it's justified. I think it's justified. You know, this is
Are those
this is
different?
the start of something special.
The
It's
backgrounds,
a
like-
yeah,
there for me because
but
I feel like they're the
it's, I
same
guess, in a good way,
background
I
with
would
like
say, and
different clouds.
it's
I
an
think
honor.
it's just
And
their
so
green
there's that
screen.
calm, I
Like
think
Aaron needs to
all the
shut a window
preparing
or close
has
a
led us up to this
blind.
moment. And I want to roll
Oh,
into
you
a
think so?
question that's I
Yeah.
only want but one
Because he's
sentence from you, and
extremely
it's
bright,
this.
and you can
I
tell
feel
that
like the
there's a
cloud on
I'd
the-
like for
reflection.
you both to describe
But I feel
to
like the
me
cloud on the
what your
left is
vision
completely
is
different
for
than the
Futureverse.
cloud on Shara's left.
You go, Shara.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start.
You
I
want
guess
me to
maybe
go
it's the way it's
first?
saved, but it
I'll
looks like the
start
same
and then you can
image.
hit it
Oh no, it's
home.
not. It's
So,
different.
Our vision for the Futureverse is multifaceted and almost impossible to do in one sentence. But
Never
I'll
mind, I
say
think you're
to
right.
distill it, we want to put humans at the center of the internet. And now, Aaron, hit the rest.
Yeah, and I think just to build on that, I think I see Futureverse as the seed that we planted to make the open metaverse a reality. You know, it's been an idea that's sat around for a long time that we've never seen actually happen. And I think what we have what it takes to make it work.
I
Wag
love
me
both of those
vibes.
answers. I
Wag
like being
me.
the
Hell
human
yeah,
at the
Tom.
center, which to me feels empowering. So let's get right into announcements.
Yeah, okay, we have a transition screen. Look at this.
Right
One
into
of the most
announcements.
impressive
All
pieces
right.
of content that I read was the Gen Doctrine. It embodies credibility and focus on the future of AI music. The Gen Doctrine from Futureverse emphasizes AI's role in unlocking limitless musical potential. It outlines a training strategy that progressively empowers the Gen 1 model, enabling the separation of generated audio into controllable stems and ultimately leading to free composition of multi-track arrangements. This doctrine marks a powerful advancement in AI co-composition, revolutionizing the music industry.
Yeah, it's weird when he's reading off the script. Like, I mean, that's the same thing I do, but it feels like kind of off when Sheridan era. Like,
I feel like he's still probably playing catch up and, you know, just coming, like getting himself acclimated to all this different technology and or terminology.
well, I'm just surprised they don't have like a video rule or something, because I mean, they could have just been playing this in the background as he was saying that. We don't really need to hear like the clicking, even though it's like good quality video.
I love this trailer.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
really
can't,
good.
like, this makes me like, God, I can't wait to make some music. Yeah. Gonna spit some bars, dude.
Yeah, the video production out of them lately has been really good, like including that trailer. If anybody missed the beginning of this, like, go rewatch because it was outstanding.
Shara, I believe I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. It's most important. How would you describe Gen?
Gen allows you to make what's in your mind into music. It's literally that simple. And the evolution of
simple,
where
eh?
we're
I don't
heading
know.
technologically
Do you have to pay to use it or something?
empower individuals who have ideas in their mind beyond music. Anything you can think will be able to become a reality in the future. And that's what we're doing with Gen. Be able to take the tune you hear in your head, which is what was in that video, but also the ideas where you're like, if I could just hear this type of score to go with the background that we're sitting in, what would it sound like to me? That's what Gen will ultimately allow you to do. And I love actually that you talked so much about the doctrine before you threw it over to Gen, because I think the doctrine speaks a lot and is very, very aligned with our principles within the Futureverse and within everything that we do in building for the future. It speaks to how much we consider creators and talent and consumers and our community and everyone that is going to use the tools that we'll provide, how to make
Does her
sure that
necklace
everyone
say
is taken
peace
care of
or
and touched
Gen?
along the user journey.
And I love that you said that, right? Because it heads into
I
that
can't read
second
that.
talking point for me. There's 5 elements to the Gen Doctrine, and I feel it's the
shit.
Yeah, I was about to say
It's the
subtle
Constitution. There we go. It's
hidden
the
alpha.
Constitution of Gen. It's the doctrine creates this high level of credibility. Can you just expand maybe on just one of the elements of Gen that really just immediately comes to mind and something that really pushes this space forward? Because that doctrine was
It's interesting that
brilliant.
we're talking about this stuff
I
because
would
it's like
say
we
that
can't
the
even use it.
doctrine,
So
even
it's
in
like
all 5 of the
we're talking
points,
about a product that we
it's
haven't been able
anchored
to touch
in
with our own hands.
how we do right by rights holders and creators within the industry, and how we allow the talent that has evolved music to where it is today to give us insight into how we develop the platform, but also how rights holders and creators are compensated for their work. I think that's one of the big
How they're going to integrate the rights
topics
holders,
that
I think, is going to be
being
huge.
debated daily around talent. I mean, we just saw SAG and the actors go through and the writers go through their strike in Hollywood around fair and equitable
We got dot spam going
in
on
things that
in
they contribute
YouTube
to.
chat.
And that really needs to be considered
Dot
in
spam. What do you
how
mean?
AI models are built
Were
and
you
how
around
they
for
are
Fluff
trained and how they
whenever
utilize
chat just get
copyrights that make them
spammed
what
with
they
a
become. And
period,
that's a huge
like just a
part
dot?
of what we're focused on and,
Oh, I think I
and
saw that
will
the other
do
day.
right by as we bring Gen to market.
Part of it is protecting the artist. And so the second research paper was published, which is huge. How important are these research papers towards AI music development?
I would say that what's most important for people to know about the research papers that we publish is, I mean, you can see it in the fact that we're publishing research papers. We're incredibly serious about what we're doing. This is a very large business. It's very ambitious, and
Like
what
that out
we
of
are
Shara.
architecting in every area
That's
of it
a little bit of
is
confidence.
of extreme thoughtfulness and detail and sophistication and technological innovation, and frankly some of the greatest minds I've ever come across putting their heads together to say, how do we take the world into the future? How do we participate in that? And obviously, how do we give the tools to everyone to do it with us? But I think our research papers give you a lot of insight into what we're actually doing, how we're thinking about these things specifically in relation to Gen. They go into great detail in how we are utilizing sound, how we break it apart and utilize deep frequency to train how it listens. And then the second research paper that we published specifically on the composer, which you just mentioned, details how Gen will be architected based on a human workflow, how humans are used to and think about how they produce a particular composition. They go in and they say, okay, let me try this drum beat, for example. Oh wait, and here's a guitar melody that goes into it. Actually, let me go back, pull that guitar melody out and change it or iterate the sound. The composer allows you to jump in and out of particular areas of a song. It also allows you to upload your own ideas. So if you're sitting at the piano and you're a piano player and that's your instrument and you play a melody and you're like, okay, now great. I don't play any other instruments though. And I also don't know how to use some of the most sophisticated music DAWs. Can Gen help me finish this piano melody and turn it into a song? You upload the piano melody, and then Gen says, here's a drum beat, here's extra instruments, here's all
So
the
it's not
components,
just
and then you can
text-based.
iterate
You can upload
infinitely
files, is what
within
she's
those.
saying.
So our composer research paper
Yeah,
takes us
or your own music
deeply through
and finish
how we're
it.
thinking about workflows and the development of the product. So we will continue to put out more and more research papers so everyone
So is
can
it free
see
to
how we're
use
thinking about
then?
everything we're doing.
Because
The
they've not
Gen
touched on
research
how that
paper
works
was
at
in-depth.
all.
I was blown away by it. It was one of the first things that I read last month. Among the 4 most significant contributions over the past, let's say, month and a half to you, Cher, what was the most impactful? And there's 4 that I'm going to give you. And you have Mike Caron's arrival. We'll talk a little bit about him. You have the publication of the second research paper, which we just talked about. You have Aaron, who spoke on stage at Alibaba. Right.
And the second day
then you
wasn't
also
broadcast,
have
even though it was
Gen
under the
branding,
impression that it was going to be
development,
to
and
millions of
visual
people.
rollout. And I love that video that we just played before. It just blew me away. So out of those 4 things, which is the one that sticks out to you the most?
I mean, they all are so equal in the workload, the effort, the amount of creativity and expertise and work that went into all of those coming to light. I think that they all have definitely equal weight. And just to touch on them, and I think you said you'll get into Mike, so we can pause on that for a second and I'll touch on the Gen branding. I
thought the Gen branding was really cool and smart.
And the Gen branding took a level of thought that we haven't revealed yet, the detail that's in that brain. And obviously there will be a lot more creativity to come on that front. But
Wait, what does she mean by
creating
that?
the music mind, the first one, was definitely took a significant amount of effort and creativity and exploration and detail. And shout out always to my creative teams that relentlessly go into the why we're creatively making something look the way it does, because there's always a why creatively to everything we do at Futureverse. It's not just let's make the coolest thing. And so the Gen brain that was revealed in the branding, we'll get into in a lot more detail of what's in that and what it means. But I would encourage everyone to look at it again, because it is an absolute work of art.
Pay attention, people.
And what it will do technologically.
Yeah, is
will
that
be
like a hint
manifest.
at, yo, brains are
I love that. I love that. And I was gonna say, out of those four things,
Something
it's here,
cooking
it's
with this.
being on stage. That's just what I'm gonna roll with. All right. So
Well,
That was the easiest part of all of that. Like Shara's been working.
awesome. You're like here.
Yeah. No, she's been working very hard on all of the stuff that I get to the privilege of getting up and talking about and on Gen. And so I have to give full credit back to her and the research team, Dr. Alex's team, as well as the creative team, have made me look good on that stage.
By the way, you want to talk about a metric of a great friendship, working relationship? You just saw it here, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So
also, Aaron demoed it live in China in front of millions of people online. So
I don't think millions seen this. I don't know why they keep saying that.
That
awesome.
Carmen would be anxious if she had to do it.
By the way, shout out to Carmen.
Shout out to Carmen.
Phenomenal. I just want to say that for the record. All right. So as you know, we are thrilled to have Mike Karen on board in the Futureverse ecosystem, music industry.
Yeah, Shara's talked highly about the guy.
I'm
not like super
informed
of who the Mike guy is.
Platform with Mike's
Do you know much about him or no, Bill? Though,
as the founder and CEO of Artist Partner Group, and his extensive roles at Warner Music Group, Elektra Records, Atlantic Records, this partnership brings together unparalleled industry access and cutting-edge AI music technology. Mike has also written and produced records with some of the biggest names in the music industry: Beyonce, Kanye, Bruno, and many others. That is just mind-boggling. And so
we were able to say Pharrell Williams. We could hint at a Doodles partnership, but unfortunately they didn't say that. Mike, supercharge Gen as it continues to evolve and adapt in this changing landscape of the music industry that we currently know.
Mike's one of the most prolific music minds in the business. The way he has architected his significantly impactful career, not only as a producer, but as an A&R and as a music executive and a publishing executive, and has built a publishing empire and a label empire, and built and broke some of the biggest artists in the world. He touches the entire flow of how music is created and distributed and how stars and artists are developed. And so there is no greater mind that we could bring in than what Mike greater mind and how he thinks. That's so bullish. Intricately. I've had the pleasure of working with Mike on a bunch of different projects for many, many, many years. And he's one of the rare humans that gets on the phone with me very, very regularly, just to kind of break down how certain complexities within the industry, within rights management and royalties and distribution can be iterated, and where the industry will adopt and will not adopt, and how we actually go through and hold hands with people to educate them, and where the industry can be transformed. He's always been a mind that constantly goes back and says, how can we grow this? How can we increase revenue here? How can we figure out how creators can evolve their opportunities and their businesses here? So I think there's no one greater, and it won't stop with Mike though. Mike and I and Aaron, Mike isn't just working with me, he's working with all of us, but we have a big strategy, and there's a lot of people getting involved in this thing behind the scenes. So
A lot of
it will
people,
be really
Mr.
exciting what's to come
Bilbo.
with
I mean,
Jen.
Bildo.
I think those strategy meetings are incredibly important. And
All right,
again,
I've gotten that
knowing, I
multiple
guess I would say,
times.
the politics within the music industry and in Hollywood, and being able to figure out how you're going to move and strategize together, and then having another partner that you trust.
I feel like I need to
continue
re-listen to
build
that
and
last part she
further
just
promote
said
the platform.
regarding like
And
who's
so
getting
maybe this
involved.
question might be a little redundant, but in what ways do you envision Gen AI music platform contributing to the music industry's sustainability and innovation over the long run?
Yo,
So
imagine
maybe
if
it's
Jen
that
can help with
long run
the
forecast.
music
What are your
industry's
thoughts where you see maybe,
sustainability.
like, let's go 5
Yo,
years
there's
out? What are
no
you thinking
way.
for Jen?
No
I think it's
way.
pretty simple. It's going to empower a lot more people in the world to create music, and it will assist and help the creators and the producers in the industry today continue to evolve their process and iterate and elevate what they can make. So only positives to come from Jen.
All right. And so, let's talk a little bit about short-term goals that you and Mike have in terms of establishing Jen as a dominant player. Maybe there's some moves and stuff that you can share publicly.
What's up, Paul? How are you?
When you think about some
Here we
short-term
go.
accomplishments that are going to happen before the end of the year, is there
I'm gonna start
anything more
making
that you can share with
notes.
us on Jen before we head into our next discussion?
I would say there will be more announcements soon as to how we're working with the industry. And then, of course, we'll come out soon with when everyone will be able to use the product. I know everyone's itching to jump on board and use it, and we're itching to be at the place where everyone can do that too. So moving as quickly as we possibly can.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think
And now-
that the most important thing is to like think about the fact that we are not rushing into this. I think you've seen a lot of people kind of just put stuff
got the
out
classic
there
look
that
up.
hasn't been able to build sustainable and viable traction from a business perspective. And so what we want to do
Yo, I'm
is
good, I'm
different, is
good.
really approach it from a sustainable and viable ongoing business perspective, and make sure we bring the right people in,
Sustainable.
as partners to that, the right musicians and producers and rights holders, to make that possible, to launch it in a way that includes those people, to get the traction that we need for this to be more than just an idea that's shoved out into the universe, but something that can really kind of take hold and make a difference. And so that includes not just partnering with the industry, but how do we embed this in applications and experiences, the brands that we're working with, that they can activate consumer experiences with, that whole gambit of things to turn it from a concept or a research paper into
write
a business.
fast enough for notes on this.
Shara's working hard on
Learning
now
that
to go
quickly.
from where we are now to that next step.
I love that you said, and I think this is your quote, Aaron. You said, the metaverse is dead. Long live AI. And I think that's a really pivotal thing, right? Because it's not about chasing the next trend. It's about being smart and calculating and in a positive way, and being meticulous in your detail and how you get your message out to the community at large. And so I now want to roll into Alibaba. And so Futureverse excels in establishing global connections, impactful partnerships, as demonstrated by its connection with Alibaba Cloud, which is set to significantly advance the Gen AI music platform. So I want to now dive into it with you guys.
Yeah, the amount of partnerships we've had
How
back to back
will
is interesting,
partnership
with like
between
not a whole lot of
Futureverse
detail
and
in
Alibaba
them.
Cloud enhance the capabilities of the Gen AI music platform?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, it's kind of the partnership's broader than just Gen AI, and Gen's really the first use case that we've been working on, and there's a few things that come out of that relationship. There's the very practical things of being able to access high quality infrastructure, which is really in demand at the moment, and being able to get access to on-demand infrastructure that enables us to train Gen to a high quality is a really important part of it. But beyond that, like, how do you take technology as a tool and then get that into the hands of developers and businesses and experiences around the world in a scalable way? And so our partnership's focused on how do we do that together. There are markets where Ali excels at, and that they have huge networks inside of. They have access to large numbers of developers, They have access to content and IP, all these different areas that we're building together to not just create a great technology experience, but to create the distribution in those different communities that makes it into a sustainable and viable business. So every area of kind of how do you go from infrastructure to end customers is the stuff that we're working on them with. And not just for Gen AI, like there are lots of things within our portfolio of products and services and content that that will be able to shape up through this this relationship as we extend into the markets where they have really strong.
So he says better than just Gen with,
Cloud and
or sorry,
Futureverse,
it's
that
broader
relationship is
than
going to
just
continue
Gen with
to
Alibaba,
expand
and they get
exponentially.
access
In
to
what
IP
ways
devs,
does a
etc.
Gen 1 model surpass the capabilities and quality outputs? Because I think this was a very
Yeah. So this is
thing.
interesting. They're
Previously
rated like
released
2
using
points
AI models by
higher.
other tech giants, and notice how I said other tech giants. I didn't want to be super
They're like
specific.
2 points
So can you
better,
kind of
but
expand on that for me a little
apparently
bit?
it's light years better.
Yeah, I think the thing that
when comparing
the
Gen to
research team
other
did
models.
was really look into two bits of insight that really helped build Gen out as a differentiated product. One was, how do humans actually hear music? And so the team started, when they started to build Gen, from the premise of user experience, which is something we always like to do in Futureverse. We're like always hammering that button, that user experience is the thing that should lead product development. And so there was no difference in the approach to how do you build an AI. Even though it's like a nerdy techie thing, you should really start from that perspective when you're going to build something that humans consume. And so they started with very basic principles about like how does the ear hear music, and taking those basic principles, we're able to build a model that could deliver an output that was in line with the way that humans hear music. So that was the first part. The second part was about how do creators create music. And so in working with the music industry, we're able to understand the process that creators go through, that producers go through, and what sort of things do they need in a tool to enable them to supercharge their creative ability. And so that Gen can be a sidekick that works alongside you to create music. And so those two things have produced the two papers. The first one more focused on the user experience, the second one more focused on the creator experience. And there is actually a third one in the wings, which we'll release shortly, and that will go deeper into the creator side of things. And I think once that one's out, we'll be able to be in a really good position to take Gen to market as a fully formed product that can work as a professional tool for the music industry and as a tool for consumers to enable them to, like Shara said, to take the music in their minds and make it real.
What was that third thing he said?
That's really exciting. You know, how
Yeah,
does
what's up, One
Futureverse's
Marketing?
collaboration with
good name.
Alibaba and tying this all in? How
That's
does
a good name.
its connection to Alibaba fit
I
Cloud
told
fit
somebody
into its
that
overall strategy for
to name their
creating
business
integrated
that wanted to do
apps,
marketing.
games, and experiences in
is
the metaverse?
smart.
Because you've talked about in the past silos, and it just made me think of that word. Can you expand on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, like I said, I think it's really important to have partners that can help you help you grow into markets and into customer
Expand on the word
segments
silo.
and to develop the ecosystems, all of those things that take your product from being a good idea and a good piece of technology into something that scales and is successful as a business. And that's where we see the real kind of value in this partnership, that it's not just about good technology, because that's the start of a good ongoing relationship, but it's how we can work together to get the awareness out there and the distribution out there.
Well, I mean, it sounds like the
markets where,
partners are well thought out.
where our partner has
Like,
those strengths. The world's a big place, and
in terms of them always answering it, it always seems like there's a definitive reason of why, particularly, and it's not just a partnership for the sake of
to
it.
ensure that we can attack those markets together.
Yeah, in specific
Right.
cases
Well,
and
let's get
partner with
into
specific people
NVIDIA.
for
I'm really
specific
excited about
purposes.
this one. You know, between the powers of soft and hardware, Futureverse has acquired the NVIDIA DGX H100 AI
Here's an
supercomputer.
NVIDIA bit.
This powerful technology will significantly boost the AI development, especially for the flagship AI Gen Music program. So let's go right to it. The NVIDIA DGX H100 is quite a rare piece of technology.
Yeah,
And
why
what
is
are the
there
overall
Gen
capabilities of this
with
supercomputer?
NVIDIA and then Gen for Alibaba Cloud?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing to understand about
That would be my
this
question.
is that when you're building technology in
I'm not
this
sure.
AI space, and we are,
'Cause wouldn't they be covering
very
the same
focused
things, or
on
am I totally
enabling
off base
creator
here?
tools in a number of different work streams.
Just one's on a cloud versus in
having
person.
access to our own equipment enables us complete freedom from whether we want to start up a research project tomorrow. We don't have to ask anyone's permission.
So they
We
can just run
start
stuff themselves.
to
That's
build on
wild.
those ideas immediately, and we can innovate super fast. And then we go from there to how do you like scale those things into production and take them out into the broader ecosystem as products. And so
Our internal
this
building
relationship
and Alibaba's
between
maybe for hosting.
having available on-premise infrastructure combined with great cloud partners enables us to be super quick and responsive to the way that we build our products and the way that our research builds out, and not have to necessarily be dependent on third parties in terms of how we scale those ideas.
There you go.
Or how we launch those products. I think,
just answered it.
Especially when you're operating in the Web3 space, you don't ever want to be in a position where you're trying to innovate at the edge of the way that commerce works and have to be beholden to, say, third parties' rules around how those things should work. So having the ability to run these applications, train these models to build this technology and to distribute that technology where we don't have to ask anyone else's permissions, a really strong thing for us as a base capability, and being able to link up with different partners around the world to enable that that technology to scale they're both worth hand in hand.
And why is the NVIDIA DGX H100 supercomputer considered a significant piece of technology globally? I mean, it's a resource, and there's not many of them out there. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, they're really hard to get.
Cost so much, Keck.
You know, we had to work alongside NVIDIA to get access to this and prioritize getting one of these down here in little old New Zealand. We're the only ones here with one, and so it is a very in-demand piece of tech. I think if you were to go out and try and do that now, you might be on like a 1 to 2 year wait list, and so having the relationship we had to bring that together and to get that here is, you know, been a pretty impressive one to pull off for the team. I'm really happy that we're now in a position where we have that complete freedom. You know, in terms of capability, it's the gold star out there now in terms of hardware. It's more efficient for training these AI generated content models than anything else. And like I said, you know, that key point about giving us the ultimate freedom about what we want to do. When an idea comes up, we can make that happen immediately. We don't have to ask anyone else's permission. That's really good and really fortunate position to be in.
How do you define, and I know you've been asked this question a lot, but again, there's always a different angle from it. How do you define AI?
I don't know if I have a really good answer to that because the topic is so broad. I think, you know, like the classical definitions around the different stages of or types of ways that machine can learn data to mimic the way that humans interact with the world is probably the broadest definition. For us specifically, you know, what we're really interested in, what we're focused on is how to enable users to conjure the worlds that they imagine. How can they take the things in their mind and turn those into metaverse experiences? And then how can we enable those experiences to become really rich and full of life? And so those are the two things. There's about 4 tracks within Futureverse that are focused on delivering those outcomes.
Did you see those carts in the intro?
Talked about we've been,
Dude,
quietly
I want
filing
to
a
go
whole
back and
bunch more
watch the intro
patents.
again.
Back
Then I want to
in
go back and
Futureverse, I
watch
think we're up to 9 or
the
10
Gen
now.
video again and look at this
And
brain
we'll be
more.
starting to release the papers that describe how those things fit together. And the one I'm most excited about actually is kind of a comprehensive vision for AI in the metaverse. And it'll
So
be
they're
kind
doing
of
a paper on the
altered
AI
state
and
machine white paper
metaverse.
2.0 that builds on those initial ideas about how do we make the ownership of AI a community-driven thing, and the data around AI a community-driven thing, and then expand on that to how do we provide the infrastructure for a system of these AIs to interact with each other to create meaningful integrated experiences and interoperable experiences between them. And so in the draft review stage of that second paper on the ASM side of things, I'm really excited to share how these different ideas come together in one comprehensive vision for AI in the metaverse.
And so I guess the last part of this would be, I always hear of AI. We've talked about the metaverse extensively. How do you distinguish machine learning from other forms of AI?
I guess if you think about it more from a consumer point of view, machine learning was something that kind of was an earlier version of what we're seeing now in general AI. And machine learning and AI are in the same bucket of things. But what people are experiencing as AI now, I think are things that feel more intuitive for a human to interact with. Machine learning was something that was more in the developer space. And there are some nuances.
We're like
if you go
35
in
minutes
deep
into
the
this.
tech stuff, which is not the purpose of this show. But
Yeah,
what
I'm
we
thinking
see
it's at least
from
an
a
hour.
consumer perspective is the consumption of what AIGC is versus what machine learning with is much more pushed towards consumer experiences, and particularly ones that are interacting with natural language. You can probably get into the technical nuances between those different ones in a tech-focused Futureverse TV show. But I think if we're looking at what consumers are seeing now is the machine learning, let's call it, kind of era was much more focused on the back end and things that were consumed by developers and businesses, and the AI era is something that's more consumed by consumers.
All right. No, I mean, listen, I love the answer. And I think it makes a lot of sense to me as we're getting hit with different applications that we can use from our phone. So it's kind of nice to see how these things are going to become more of a reality, and what specifically we at Futureverse are doing. Now, the next thing that we want to roll into is Mark talk a little bit about that. Mark is the first community built marketplace.
Yo, a little bit of Mark
phone.
talk. Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness.
So, in what ways, and in what ways do you see Mark facilitating the interaction between the streamer community and Futureverse Games, and acting also as a trading platform for digital assets?
Yeah, I think probably that I don't see Mark as a marketplace. I think that's probably that's probably kind of the most important thing to communicate out there. We went on this journey, and it's very early days, and what's out there, kind of somewhat feels like a marketplace experience, but we're laying the groundwork for the intersection of social commerce and gaming, and that is what Mark is really all about. Where we're seeing a massive trend, and part of the conversations I've been having up with partners up in Asia and in China, is how social commerce has been transformed by streaming, and what that user experience journey looks like, and how that can apply to our vision of the metaverse. And so we're really excited to be part of this journey with the team that's building Mark, because I think what we'll start to see is the divergence between what people see as NFT marketplaces and what we see as the vision for integrated social commerce, and providing tools for both developers of games, applications, and experiences, and to communities to build their communities in a different way using Mark and the tools that we build that can integrate with Mark. change that experience, and refocus it around how utility plays a role in these commerce interactions, how audience growth plays a role in those interactions, and do that in a way that embodies our idea of the open
I didn't think
metaverse.
he was going to say that when they brought up Mark.
Won't let the cat out of the bag too much, but we've got a number of really exciting experiences that will premiere integrated with the Futureverse community collectibles and game experiences off the back of those that can leverage this notion of social commerce meets digital assets meets
social commerce with our NFTs.
And I like how you
soon.
repositioned how we should be thinking about Mark, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that platform develops over the future on the Root Network. And so it brings me to the last part of this, which is, what advice would you give to developers who want to come and build on the Root Network?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing is, like, we're open for business. We're in the very late stages
that, Bill?
now.
No, we're in business,
the final
brother.
push to open source everything and invite community members in to start running validator nodes on the network. And
wait, when's that
get
happening?
Traction out there on the token front. And
do you just randomly say that, or
people
is
who
there an announcement?
are interested in what we've been building at Futureverse can take those bits and pieces and start to create their own experiences and build on top of that. Really make the idea that we have of the open metaverse come to life. So if you're a developer out there, get in touch. Look up the Born Ready Ventures Basecamp program. If you're early stage, get into the pipeline there so we can see how we can help you on that journey. If you're a little later stage, or you've got something that's built and ready to be supercharged by the Futureverse, then touch base. I think the team has been quietly overwhelmed a little bit with the interest from developers, from studios, from
quietly
global
overwhelmed
corporates that have started to come in through our recent partnership announcements. Both with Ali and the Catalyze team in South Korea, yielding really strong results in terms of that development of the ecosystem of builders who are starting to get interested in building with Root. We're really kind of pleased.
Dude, if we get in the Asian market, it's fucking over.
And if you're Born Ready, reach out to them
over.
on Twitter, the Twitter handle Born Ready. All right, so now let's roll into the Atom Car Club and membership.
Atom Car Club. This is interesting that they're talking about like almost literally everything, but I guess
So
these were
the
the
Atom
announcements back to
membership
back.
collections, design, and evidence combined with its role in the Futureverse
Maybe we get a
ecosystem
little peek of
effectively
these
boosts
Apricors,
metaverse
too.
engagement, seamlessly transitioning car culture from the real world to the metaverse. The pure technical talent and visual artistry of the vehicles left me personally feeling
Not to
that
talk
these
shit,
digital
but
assets
I
are
think you could
going
have
to
done
further
better than
evolve.
Craigo.
Yo, I appreciate the vote of confidence, sir. What do you think of the trailer for Atom? I thought it was pretty solid. Like, I don't know. Maybe to show off, maybe like.
I feel like, is this the same one?
Yeah, it's the same one. It's the same one. Like, I think it was cool, but I felt like there was like a missing umph of some sort. I don't really know what it was, though.
Why the community
Like
is
seeing
so
a move?
passionate about Atom, like myself,
Maybe.
by the way.
Or maybe just
Maybe
the
seeing
background,
an
because it was
action.
just
I think,
highlighting
like
the cars
you
only,
said
right?
in the intro, it's like bridging together real world car culture with the digital world. I think the Atom team has done a really fantastic job of blending those two things. And in fact, if you look at from a Futureverse point of view, it's really taught us a lot about how to create these hybrid communities that can exist in the real world and start to transition.
I don't really see that
into
much of
digital
like
spaces.
IRL car
And
people
that's
in Atom right now,
taught us a
or
whole
is
bunch
that
of lessons
like
that we brought into
a weird statement to
conversations
say?
with,
Because
global
it
sports
feels like
teams,
what
big
Aaron's
sports
implying right
brands,
now.
that we're working.
I know
with
there's
to,
like a couple
create
foreign.
those user journeys that
I
can
know Mo used
transition
to say there
from
was like
something
a.
you've done in
I
person.
think it's like
to
an
something that
Asian
can
car
exist in
club
a
that's
virtual
like in real
environment
life car
in a
club
way
that's
that's
all
kind of
about it.
meaningful and
Really? Okay.
and adds
Nice.
to the experience of being a fan of those things.
Not to say that won't happen in
beyond
time.
like
I'm
Atom
just
as
saying
being
right
super
now.
cool and
Yeah, I think right
the
now it's
McDonough
people that
brothers
are into
being,
NFTs that
into
also
cars,
enjoy cars.
and beyond the technology that went into building the Atom Car Club that kind of creates a whole new level of interoperability for content in the open metaverse. This whole journey has taught us the things necessary to help us scale this idea of virtual communities being built out of real world fans, and how those two things can integrate in a meaningful way so we can continue to build out those kinds of activations with other partners around the world.
Did the minting process for the cars exceed your expectations?
The minting
I
process.
think we're speaking truthfully, we had a little bit of a hiccup in the middle of the mint, but without taking that hiccup out of the process, I think it was really good. There's a lot of complexity.
I felt they could have like overemphasized this is our like
this
first
off. There are
attempt at like
multiple,
any
systems on the
token
Futureverse
fee for
side,
gas, and we just
that
auto
had
set it to
be,
ASTO.
Engineered to make that whole experience happen. You had integration into FuturePass. We had network to network bridging. We had the Futureverse gas fee economy so that people could pay in the ASTO token. We had the DOT 2.0 pipeline generation tool to produce the assets. We had the real-time viewers. We had interactive components inside the real-time viewers. They got integrated into FuturePass. So there are a dozen, systems that make that experience go end to end.
I love the way that they have the car that you can spin around, like how they did it with
I think it was
goblins.
a super smooth,
real
process.
time.
The team did an
looks
amazing
really nice.
job on the art, and if you think, about the door we opened for asset interoperability across applications with the new dot pipeline, it's a really fantastic thing.
Oh, and don't worry, we're going to get to dot next, I promise. But it is all about the car flex, and I get excited on this one. So I want to share with the community my car. So as I was preparing for this show over the past few weeks,
He must have picked that up because when he first got in the ecosystem, he only bought like a few Gen 2 brains.
I don't have a membership card. And I want to say the Discord
he did.
community
He was in Discord
incredibly
a
helpful,
couple days
helping
ago.
me figure everything out, making
And
sure that
Metablocks
the
walked him through it, I think.
that root was in my when my MetaMask, when I was just setting up the network and going through all those things, making sure the verification, finding a card that hadn't already been claimed. And so this is my car. I absolutely love it. And obviously we're going to talk a little bit about DOT, but I mean, how cool is this? I'm just like, every once in a while I'll play with it, I'll turn on the music, and it's like, this is my car on the root network. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, and the really cool thing, looking at that, the art is.
I think Shar is getting bored. She's like, I'm ready to start talking.
And so that's what makes it super powerful for the gaming side of things. And also when you go into that next stage of trading parts and swapping parts, with your fellow car club collectors and building your perfect car. I think the idea of static PFPs we just took to a whole new level where if you didn't roll the exact thing you wanted, you'll be able to go on that journey of creating your perfect machine, just like you would in a traditional car club, and then take that into activations and experiences in the same way that you would at a meetup or at a
Do you
race
feel
day.
like
So,
some of these talks
building the
could have like a little bit more
into
emotion in
the way
them?
that the product was
I don't know if
created was a
I'm
really important thing
describing
for
that
us.
the right way, but I feel like
And
some
being
of the
able to do
times
that
we
in a
could get
way
like
that,
more,
is interoperable
excitement,
and
enthusiasm,
interact with
throwing
lots of
some of the
different
stuff like
applications.
here.
Perfect.
I think if they
and I
were
wanna
showing
say,
the
I wanna
cars and
go
stuff
to you
more
guys
than
for
just
both
kind of
advice.
their
And as
screens
I
make it
just
more
mentioned before,
engaging.
I went to Discord. I was able to figure it out.
I mean, I feel
got
like
some help in the
Aaron's
DMs, so that way
pretty
I could make this happen
monotone.
for the show.
Yeah.
Most of the
But in
most
a
chats. I
busy
think Shar,
Futureverse
you see it a little
ecosystem,
bit
which
more.
we
Like you
are
see the
busy,
passion come
and
out when they get
what do
really
you
like
guys believe
Yeah,
is
kind
the
of
I
best
guess
excited and
maybe they
passionate
can't get
about
that
something.
excitement part. Yeah,
information
okay,
within the
I hear you.
community, so you can stay up to date on the latest news. And as we know, it is Futureverse TV and of course the Vision episode. But outside of that, what else do you guys recommend for people that are coming in sort of mid-experience, but they haven't yet really fully immersed themselves in Futureverse?
I can
Go,
jump
Shara.
in and say that
Here we go. Shar's
as
like,
we
hell
go, and this goes back to what Aaron and I preach and preach and preach. Our goal is to make the technology invisible, and that all of the experiences that we will put out or power, frankly, power, because we are a technology company at the end of the day, it is powered by Futureverse. The brands are the brands, and we believe that just like the internet and the metaverse and Netflix and wherever you go to consume content, there's going to be something for everyone. And you don't have to understand the complexity and all the details of the Futureverse ecosystem. You'll be attracted to the brands and the different experiences that you want to engage in. So I think that I would almost answer that question of, if you are interested in the technology, obviously we're about to premiere a show that goes super deep into the technology. And if you are more interested in certain consumer experiences, we'll find you. And we will. And I think that's one of the things
We'll find you.
that we're at that point where we're about to go out and onboard the mainstream. We have been, and we are even more so over the next year. I think we're, not only us, but everyone building in the space is going to really start to connect with a mainstream audience, because they're going to introduce experiences where the technology is invisible and where you don't have to know the intricacies of particular things to be able to engage with them.
And so next,
yeah, I think that's really important. So you got like layers, you know, in terms of communication, and we've got like, if you think about our core fan group, which is our kind of tight knit community, and even to a certain extent the broader Web3 community that we're really starting to see grow in terms of the knowledge of Futureverse now. You know, that home base for those people, you know, within our community channels. You know, you've got the Discord channel, and like you said, we've got this great wealth of knowledge in there, and people are able to explain what's going on underneath the hood for those super fans who really want to get down and dirty with it. You've got our, you know, public channels like the websites, which are brimming with content. There's an increasing number of product-focused documentation, and there'll be a whole bunch more of open source documentation coming out in our tech docs when we open those up shortly. There's going to be, like Shara said, there's going to be a whole bunch of users that are touching the Futureverse ecosystem that will never know we exist if we've done our job correctly. And those that layer of content, you know, will be focused on the applications and experiences themselves, so you can go in and find more about those specific experiences, but not necessarily how it all works and comes together, because we don't, you know, you don't really care about that as a consumer. And then you've got heaps of great community content out there. You've got the Prawns site out there that's a fantastic resource for information and data tools that are built around the ecosystem itself. And I think really importantly, you know, the work that the team's been putting into this Futureverse TV series, which will have layers of content for people who are interested in the ecosystem at large. And we're covering a bit of ground now that we've covered in the past, but I think with so many new people joining the community, it's really important that we do that and put this out there in this first episode. And you know you'll be hosting some deep dives into how things work and partnerships and, you know, all the other stuff that we're doing inside of Futureverse. So it's a big and complex and comprehensive business, and we've got to have these layers of content that are engineered for the different types of people who would touch that ecosystem, whether you're a super fan, a developer, a consumer of an application.
Did he just call us super fans? Oh my goodness.
And I hope that people have started to see over the last kind of 3 to 6 months as Futureverse,
not necessarily wrong, but
place that level of
no, I feel like the BAYC founder calling all the holders fans.
Challenging ourselves on to get better at.
And before we roll into Dot, I want to say the newsletter absolutely blew me away. It was great.
Yeah.
It was nicely laid out. So bravo on that. I
feel like the newsletter is pretty much the same that it was before.
Encompassed everything very quickly. You got.
Did you find it super different?
Overview, and then you were able to go in
on
specific things and dive.
I feel like
deeper.
It's the same as it always has
next,
been.
What I want to do
maybe in a different like layout.
Dot 2.0.
Still the same substance.
Let's get right into it.
Okay, so I think the dot thing's super cool, but like there's still no way for like the average person to like try it out, you know what I mean? Or for like these developers, it's just like, hey, here we have these cars that use this. And then it's like, how does everybody get their hands on it? What's up? Why'd you say whoa for?
So Dot 2.0 is known as a dynamic object transformer. This
we'll
technology
be able
tool
to have access to that, to where we can change our shit like that.
Landscape.
You think it'll be like developer only and they have to pay like a fee?
An AI native game-ready asset generator. It creates lightweight, interoperable assets with unique qualities, catering to brands, developers, and digital collectors. Its large-scale randomized asset generator capability promises a diverse virtual experience. So let's start it off on this. What is Dot and what makes it unique?
Like I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
mean, I
you
think
wouldn't have to be looking at
you
your
know, the
computer the whole
thing
time
that
you
Dot
said
is
this.
a way for
Yeah.
developers to generate content in a pipeline that can be interoperable between applications. One of the core ideas of the metaverse is that you could take your content with you between applications. The whole point of digital ownership in Web3 is anchored in that idea. So we have the idea of ownership pretty well sorted. You know, things can go on to community-run infrastructure like blockchains and move around. But the reality is that next step of interoperability doesn't really happen. And the reason it doesn't happen is because it's really hard. So what Dot has done is looked step back and said, okay, well, how can you make loads of content available to popular platforms and game engines and experiences at scale? How can you ensure that that promise of digital ownership is true, and at the same time deliver high quality experience inside of those assets? How can you do that in a way that means you could have lots and lots of users using those things inside of those experiences at the same time without being too heavy for that experience? How can you make things like swappables and wearables and changeable parts work in real time inside of those experiences, just like we would do see in a traditional game like Fortnite or Roblox or something like that, but across multiple games? So that's the stuff that Asset Register, Dot, and Swappables Engine are solving for. Is making that idea of portable content a reality inside of applications. And so Dot solves a bunch of those problems. We've got, you know, a big roadmap around improving that, but just some really simple examples. If you look at some of the metaverse standards out there, something like VRMs, for example, they're really good for human avatars, humanoid type avatars, but they don't work for something like a car. And so Dot was trying to solve the same problem as humanoid avatars for any kind of object. So that's one of the things that sets it apart. Those other standards, while they might allow a single file to appear in lots of different engines, the way it appears may have to be downscaled and to meet this kind of lowest common denominator across those different experiences. We wanted every experience to have the richest possible interpretation of that asset. So that if you're in a UE5 experience or a high quality, you know, desktop Unity experience or a mobile experience or a web experience, it could adapt to those different formats. We want to make it possible to swap things in real time and have those appear in any application you're in. We want to make it possible to do that without having to download a whole new file into that game and load that file into the game. And if you can imagine, you know, when we've got tens of millions or hundreds of millions of users using these applications, that could get very, very heavy downloading those files. So Dot was designed to solve all of those problems. And I think it's one of the foundational pieces of that seed that we're planting about how the open metaverse can actually work.
So taking all of this in, and so, you know, how does Dot support the brands in creating unique digital collectibles or
And
game
how do they
assets?
get
So as it
onboarded to
expands out,
this?
they're going
Can
to use this
anybody
tool.
use
It was
this? Is
used
its own,
in
or
Atom.
what are the details?
So maybe you might expand on that a little bit for us.
Yeah, so the Dot product has evolved over time, and we used it first with TNL. Next was with Gods and Goblins, and the latest iteration with the Atom Car Club. There's a couple of other collections that are already kind of near launch that have also gone through Dot that
Other
represent different kinds of
collections.
assets and collectibles, so we can show a broad range of things that can work
I think
inside
that's
of Dot.
paid mints.
The really interesting thing is when you're talking with these global brands that have a really diverse audience
Cool
with,
cats.
you know, tens of millions or hundreds of millions of fans, they want to be able to deliver unique digital creative to those audiences, and Dot's really, really good at that. So you can take a simple base set of assets and turn that into millions of individually unique characters at the DNA level. These aren't your kind of typical Lego book PFPs. They are totally unique in every way. And so being able to provide uniqueness allows for personalization and customization at mass scale, which is something that these brands really love.
And I'm looking forward to seeing how Dot
I got
continues
2
to
minutes
add
until the
value
hour mark. You
to
think I go
other,
over?
assets
Yeah.
along the way. You know, I want to roll into the next legends. All roads lead back to the Root Network, and the next legends are just a part of that journey. Powerful collaborations are incredibly important as we continue to build in the metaverse. Between the combination of the Muhammad Ali Enterprise, Altered State Machine, Futureverse, this is an ongoing gaming experience that is set for long-term success. I personally describe TNL as a digital playable storybook, unraveling as our characters grow and become more intelligent over time. So, Aaron, why does the next Legends align with your long-term vision as part of the expansive part of the Futureverse ecosystem?
Yeah, I think from a strategy point of view, you can see a lot of things going on here, and might start to wonder like why. And TNL is a really good example of how we're taking content and pairing it with technology to demonstrate two things, like how can you engage an audience using these new tools and new modes of gameplay, particularly the AI-driven stuff. And we're really excited about both what TNL is going to end up being as an experience for users and how it will click into the other stuff that we're building in terms of that social commerce play, and how it will click into the next iteration of the Altered State Machine protocol. And so we get this really awesome opportunity to create content that can appeal to a mass audience, but at the same time demonstrate how these different platform elements can fit together. And so, TNL has been able to lead the conversation internally about how we build these products out, but also like showcase and hero some of the protocols like the ASM protocol, like the asset register powered by Silo, like the swappables engine, like the dot pipeline. All of these kinds of things can achieve two goals for us. How can we build an audience around these really cool pieces of IP? How can we show new kinds of gameplay to a market that's hungry for particularly AI-driven experiences? But also, like, how can we demonstrate the power of this underlying platform and the Root network to more and more developers around the world that want to build with us?
So I have one more question for you. And I noticed it as I was going on my quest with my boxer. And I noticed as I was doing the cut and style, I noticed a brain in the locker room. Anything that you might be able to tell us, share with us, the community?
Yeah, no, I think like we're getting close now to.
I feel like Shar is super bored on
able
this.
to kind of really see the power of brains in the ASM ecosystem, and that we've been very deliberate about the activations. That we've been ramping up this association between brains and content, and now with several game experiences that leverage the brains to drive the player experience. But also like how these things can be transitioned into content-driven applications and the AI GC side of things. We've got lots of cool stuff coming up around brains, and so being able to equip your brain to really show the relationship and swappability, tradability of intelligence between players is going to be a really exciting thing for us to demonstrate.
Tradability of intelligence.
The team has been working so hard on this, and it's an extremely complex thing to pull off when you really get into it. But I think we've really cracked the nut on the infrastructure and architecture and approach for making this idea of ASM scale, and really excited to show how that can work with the next Legends and a few other things.
I'm looking forward to more quests and for many, many reasons. But we are all human beings.
Wait, what?
So this is the end part of the
All right,
first
that was a little bit of a
episode
weird
the Vision,
transition.
and I wanted to finish it off to really connect with you guys on a personal
We're
level.
all
You know,
humans.
you are managing so many different tasks along the way, and I want to start with you, and there are going to be maybe two questions that I really want to talk about this, right? Because you just said it's about being a human being, and if we're humans, we're in power of what we're creating. That's sort of the idea, I believe. And so my two questions for both of you, right? Because we're going to close out in a little bit, is what is the one wish you have for the world?
One wish for the world. Interesting question.
You go first, Shah.
That
Well,
sounds loaded.
Since you brought up the topic of humans and set up that we're all humans, I do think that's such an important thing. And I think that what we just went through for the last hour or so that we've been on here is the deep intricacy to which we're building technology, and you can imagine how much work and intensity and thought and detail from all of our employees goes into everything that we do. I think that it's important to remember that we are humans, and we still have hearts and feelings, and we still work, and we still get tired, and we still go through things. So I will lead that into my greatest wish for the world, is that we can learn more open-minded, open-heartedness, and we can be more empathetic and more patient and more kind and more considerate with the words that we use and choose to speak to each other at every moment of the day. Because
I think she's
isn't an
implying that
easy
we're supposed to be
place, and
nice to
the
each other. But
ambitions
if I call
of
you a dick
what
later, I'm
we've all
sorry.
collectively brought together are just astronomical, and they deserve a lot of respect. I think everyone deserves a lot of respect on this planet. And so I would say that I hope the world can learn to listen and be more kind and be more respectful, because we're all the same. We're all just one human being. And Aaron and I go through so much. I think people forget that we're still humans. We still have families. We still go to bed at night and wake up in the morning. We still feel things. We still have pressure. We still have to be thoughtful in how we answer to people and how we do everything that we do. And so I think
You'll have a bunch of people in Discord saying one on the daily. You know what I mean?
And I like the word empathy, and I think it's incredibly important. Nobody cares what you say unless they know that you care. And Aaron, what is your one wish for the world?
Yeah, I think we're in the business of connecting people, and I think Shara hit the nail on the head. We want to create the environment where people can have those more meaningful connections.
Yeah, is that supposed to be a question broadly or about like Futureverse's impacts for humans?
You know, there's some shitty things happening out in the world right now, and
I think broadly,
I think that a lot of that can be solved by people having more meaningful connections, and having those built in a way that isn't predatory, in terms of the platforms that supply those connections, because they tend to breed divisiveness. And if we have the opportunity to reset the internet and make it a place where that divisiveness isn't a key to your business model, then that would be a really great and fantastic achievement, I think.
How empowering is it for both of you that you are going to help to shape the internet over the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years? That is such an incredible thing. Every morning you must wake up and go, this is really cool. I can't believe this is it. And I love what you said as well. And so I want to give one last question to both of you. And Aaron, I want to start with you. What human has been a big part? And obviously there's many people that, whether it's to success, but just maybe it's an emotional component, not business. I want to put business aside for a minute, but emotionally gave you a certain strength or an awareness. Who would that person be, and why?
God, that's a tough
going
one.
for the personal touch questions back to back. Okay.
Okay. There's no doubt right now that it's my wife, Shah. She's the one who, like Shara said, when
so his wife's name's Shar, and then he's working with Shara. That's crazy.
There's problems that need solving that I can't figure out. That's there for me. That stood by me when I first came up with this crazy idea, and we had no jobs and no money, and put that on, that future on the line with me, and someone who's kind of a sounding board for my crazy ideas, but also knocks me back down to earth again when I get a bit of a big head. So I don't think there's anyone else. Probably this close second would be my little girl. she is a very grounding influence in my life. You know, you can be out there talking about how you're going to change the internet, and then the next minute changing a diaper, and that juxtaposition, you know, is a very good place to keep you grounded in the realities of things as you're trying to build this stuff out.
I can relate. I can relate on the diaper part. So, Shara, how about for you?
I could answer this question a lot of ways. I think that I am impacted by everyone I encounter, by learning their perspective on the world and how they see it differently from the place that they're positioned in, which is quite different from me. I think, like Aaron's answer, my answer would be my family, probably my sisters. I was really lucky to be one of 3 girls, and as the oldest with 2 sisters behind me, it's incredibly important for me, not only because it's important because I have 2 sisters, but I think just being thoughtful and open and supportive of women has been something that my parents raised us to support each other and support every other woman or man that we encounter. But I think the female empowerment thing actually hits home the most for me with my sisters, because it reminds me to keep knocking down and breaking ceilings for every woman that comes behind me, and they're 2 living examples. And they also listen to me say the wildest things and pitch the craziest ideas and tell them every other day that we're building another business, and they think it's absolutely
Another
insane,
one.
yet they respect me nonetheless, and they never falter. And I think that's what we can count on family for, especially as we're out there trying to change the world.
Relentless
Trying to change
conviction
the
and
world,
support.
eh?
So I want to end it off on this. I am so grateful to be on this journey with you both. It's an honor. And more Vision episodes, the Vision episodes on Futureverse TV to come. So I want everybody to stay tuned, because we will be back soon.
Yeah.
Yo, wait, did they just cut off Aaron at the end of that? Oh my god. Yo, did you hear that or no?
I didn't.
Yeah, they definitely cut off Aaron right at the end there. Hold on, we'll go back
So
35
I want to end
seconds.
it off on this. I am so grateful to
Wait,
be
hold on. Are you on the live stream or no? Like mine?
No, not yet.
Go back a
I
few
was watching
seconds.
this on YouTube.
Okay, here. For anyone in this stream, you'll be able to hear it here.
on this journey with you both. It's an honor. And more Vision episodes, the Vision episodes on Futureverse
See if we
TV
can
to
see.
come. So I want everybody to stay tuned, because
Let
we
me go over
will
to Twitch
be back
now.
soon.
Yeah.
He says,
on
yeah,
Twitch,
you
right?
think. Oh, geez. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. That's kind of funny. Okay, cool. Are you wanting to use your webcam for this next part, or am I just putting on like a random screen? I'm fine with either. You just let me know.
Probably random screen right now.
Okay, cool. Cool. Let me just bring up a few.
Just 'cause I'm
No, you're good. You're good.
Doing this from my phone at the moment.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. So let's talk about that. I made a couple of notes from it. Do I go through all of the notes, or do I go by bit, and then we kind of break it down? What do you think's better here, bro?
I almost want to watch that beginning.
You want to rewatch the
Trailer
beginning of that?
again.
Okay, sure. We can do that.
Where is my Twitch app?
You let me know when you got it, and then I will start playing this.
There we go.
You let me know. Yeah, I'm not super fast, right? Dude, I only have like a couple of notes, though. Like, I thought that was okay. But yeah, I don't want to go into everything too much yet. All right, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, here we go. The trail. Do we want to pause certain parts to it, or just play the whole thing?
I wouldn't mind watching it through.
Cool. We'll play it through.
Mr. Valley through it all.
So that root graphic looks great. We got Cool Cat feature, Silo, and Seekers.
There we go.
So I think on that rewatch,
What was driving that AFA
sorry, what? That's way too loud for me. What?
driving that AFA cart?
Yeah, so that was, I guess, the thing that stood out to me is like the ATOM, like AFA feels like it's completely separate. This is impossible to scroll down to like milliseconds on this. Hold on. We're gonna pause it when it shows up.
Like, that's new.
The Cool Cats thing wasn't. Or do you mean the Silo?
Just that little thing pressing buttons.
Oh no, that was released with Patty. Are you talking about like the?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They were like pressing the board and they look like mini bits or whatever. But yeah, so this is, so it's interesting because I thought for a second that there might be a chance that ATOM would be a part of it. But it looks like it's just like AFA carts and that's it. Oh, there was another. Damn it. I don't think I can go back unless there's another thing that was coming up. And I'll try to freeze it again.
Yeah, different tracks.
Yeah, that's like a close-up of the car. So yeah, again, unless there's something we're missing that's not including that. So for the trailer, what did you think? I thought production-wise, it was really good.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was great. I mean, it had me hyped just like the previous one. I think the music's good. I'm still curious what this character is.
What do you mean by what character is?
That's in the cart.
It's an AFA character. What do you mean?
You're for sure?
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh no, 100%. I mean, they've already talked about AFA carts, right?
I mean,
that character was
yeah,
100%. Yeah, look at it. That's an all-star if I've ever seen one.
Your screen is okay. Yeah, there we go. Go a little bit forward in the video.
How farther? Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, the second one. I feel like there's two. They show two cars.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, that's just probably like a part of it. I don't know if there's anything too much on there.
I mean, no,
what's up, Sam?
Like, to me, in picture, I feel like it's for sure more of a APA character.
Yeah. So, let's go back to the notes and then we can kind of go from there. So, off the rip, they talked about how like Aaron was Entrepreneur of the Year in 2019. I don't know for what. Like I don't know if that was like local to New Zealand or that was something else, but I don't think that I heard that before, so that was interesting. They talked about
for sure been out there.
Has it? Okay, cool. That was my first time hearing
it. It's New Zealand. I think it's New Zealand Entrepreneur of 2019.
I wonder like what for, because Non-Fungible Labs wasn't that. So anyway, we should look into that. So they started with the Jet
Centrality,
music.
I would imagine.
Oh, okay. Noted. Shara with Jen was talking about how they're trying to get a lot of people involved. And then they went into talking about making the music industry sustainable. And then she talked about like the Mike Cahern, something along those lines. And how he was like one of the smartest minds within music, incredibly well connected, yada, yada, yada. But the making the music industry sustainable seems like a wild thing to say. Am I crazy?
I mean, it's a pretty big statement, that's for sure. But I mean, I think with the music industry, especially with artists talking about how they don't have rights and big labels have been taking care of them and they own all of that music. I really feel like this could be like an outlet that gives power back to the artist in some capacity.
See, the only thing that I find weird with that is when we're saying the music industry right now, right? And then Shara's bringing in the mic guy for Jen, and I'm like, okay, well, we're making complaints about the music industry right now, and then you're taking a titan from the music industry right now, and then saying, hey, we're gonna do this. But maybe it's, like the rogue one that makes things happen, and it's not, predatory in any way. But it's just, so I guess my perspective on that, to put it in like a different landscape, is for Yuga, when they brought in the guy from Blizzard. Oh my God, what the hell is the CEO name for Yuga? Does anybody know his name? Dan? Is it Dan? I don't even remember. Oh, that's awful. Does anyone in the chat know?
I remember what you were talking about, but I wouldn't know the name.
I think it's Daniel. And he worked at Blizzard before, but it was during like the worst period ever for them. Like there was so many bad things that were going on in the company. Overwatch was on like the worst trajectory ever. And everybody was like, oh my God, we got this big, huge guy from Blizzard. And, then there's been different games here from Yuga that I personally have thought have been like not good at all. But it's interesting that, I kind of look at that as, okay, is this my guy, somebody that is going to make a huge difference? Is it different than these other music titans, etc.? But again, just kind of throwing out different opinions on there. I've never really looked into the guy, but just for argument's sake. So one of the other things that Aaron talked about within there was saying that they need people to make this big. And he was implying like, okay, you can get partnerships and you can do this, but you need people with like the big enough names, the big enough followings to make a substantive change to like really make this something. And it sounded like that was going to happen. Did you hear that or have any takeaways from him speaking about how this was going to be sustainable and their growth attempt?
Like for like music?
Yes.
I think they have multiple partners, and I think that's where Shara definitely like excels. And then with the credentials, it sounds like that Mike has with, I think they said Warner Brothers Music.
Yeah, and then it was Atlantic Records. A whole bunch of them. Yep.
Like I would just imagine that he has quite a few, calls that he could make to phone in a friend or
phone in a friend. Yep. Who wants to be a millionaire? Like, 2.0, baby.
To do test experiments as well. Like, I don't think you can change the music industry overnight, but it might take, hey, this artist is open to trying to do something Web3, and they're releasing an album with beats that are all created by, Gen 1, and they're going to release it to the market to see how it's recepted, and then make tweaks with the next artist that they might release. So I think it could be like an ongoing kind of figuring out how to really change the game and then change the game. I don't think it happens right off the bat and then everybody's like, oh my God, this is the way music is going to be from now on. But I think we see slow iterations of it start to change, and then all of a sudden everybody has Spotify or everybody has some type of streaming music service that, that transition happened over a long period of time. But then it just seemed like one day it was just like, oh yeah, everybody just streams, whether it be Pandora or Spotify or whoever it may be. And we're positioned with Spotify, so like that could come into play as well. You know what I mean? Like we don't know how deep that partnership goes and or what that can expand into.
So jumping ahead here, they discussed Alibaba, which, Metablocks, thank you for saying, Daniel. Appreciate you. Hope you enjoy the thing. And if you have any extra comments about it, feel free to throw it down here in the chat. So Shar said that millions of people watched the Alibaba thing with Aaron. And I'm going to still like harp on this because the live streams didn't insinuate that there was even like 10,000 people that were watching it for the second day. It wasn't even broadcast. There's no footage of that. The team's still not been able to find it. Again, not trying to be overly critical here, but that's exactly what it was. And so for her, for her to come out and say that millions have seen the Gen presentation, I'm like, I don't think that's accurate at all. But what was interesting regarding that was them saying that Gen is not just their only integration with Alibaba. And so these other things that they're working on, they've talked about several pillars. So from sports to mass media, to music. I forget what some of the other ones are, but if you've watched a lot of Futureverse stuff, you'll know that Aaron's talked about these pillars, and I think Shar has too. But this Alibaba partnership gives them access to top devs, IP, and then also getting distribution. Any extra takeaways that you had regarding the Alibaba part of the discussion?
I mean, the first part of it, I guess I will say, is that I know there's stuff like, you know, Brooke being on Traders, or the TV show that they just did with Brooke, Aaron, David, and Alex. Like, I can't watch that from the United States, so I have no idea how many views that actually gets.
Right.
I don't know if that's something that maybe it is published or being viewed in or on like some type of Asian.
Wait, what is that? Wait, what
streaming.
do you mean? I'm talking about like the Gen Alibaba presentation, and you're talking about the New Zealand show that I don't think has anything to do with Alibaba.
I'm saying because that was cast or filmed in another country.
Right.
I'm not sure if it is being streamed or out on the interwebs of some sort in Asia that is getting a ton of views that us as Americans, or you as a Canadian, or maybe people in New Zealand can't see those type of views. You know what I mean? So I just don't know. I did think the millions of views, again, I understand.
We're talking about two totally different things though. Like, I'm talking about Aaron's 10-minute Alibaba Gen presentation, right? And it was only on like the Alibaba site. I'm not talking about the show that they were on. But Somnia, we were working on getting the videos from Alibaba team and plan to share them with the community. It seems this was broadcasted more so to the Asian one. Okay, cool. Yo.
Shilly, thank you for helping my mom with her physical therapy. Her back hasn't felt this great in years.
Yo, Wild Buffalo, you're absolutely crazy, but thank you so much for the 300 bits on that one. Jeez Louise. And wag me, JJ, wag me. Okay, so we can move on from that. I mean, I don't know, like, it seems that, like, again, like, the Asian part of this market is huge. Obviously, the catalyzed research thing was another main happening that occurred, that I think is like another announcement where it's like, hey, we're getting into like the Asian market, but there's still like not a whole lot that we can see in the public's point of view, but obviously that's going to change a little bit. Then they talked about the NVIDIA DGX H100 to be able to do things themselves, and that was basically like what they implied is that if they didn't have the relationship that they did with NVIDIA, they'd currently be on like a year-long wait list. There's a lot of people that want this. This allows them to apparently do things that they would need requests from otherwise, which again, I'm trying to see both sides of this, where it's like, okay, so we have the Alibaba cloud that helps with the Gen AI. Then they have something like with theirs. So is one of these kind of like a test network for them, where then they can throw on the other one, make things happening? I mean, I don't know much about this. Did you have any thoughts on the NVIDIA relationship as a whole?
Yeah, from what it sounded like, they were both like strategic partners, and I feel like NVIDIA gives them the ability to test and do and create however they want with different AI models, and then the Alibaba cloud is the way they can distribute it and, you know, host it for the masses amount of people that, you know, they want to have these type of experiences.
Right.
So I feel like the NVIDIA is more them creating internally, and I think Alibaba is more for just distribution to the masses.
Noted. JJ Schiller, I think Bildo was talking about the reach. We don't know who all is watching the Alibaba stuff. So I guess the only thing that I thought when I was viewing that is that on the Alibaba site, it literally showed how many people were viewing it. and he wasn't on the main stage. On the main stage at points, it had like 150K plus viewers on it. But I mean, maybe it was broadcast on like a different site that wasn't the official Alibaba one, and they had like a YouTube stream, et cetera, et cetera. But I guess it just I didn't see like the numbers associated with it, so that was my assumption. But yo, Aurorax, what's up? And Brian, hello, how are you? Hope the Monday Night Football bets are going well, sir. Wink, wink. The AI and ASM paper document coming soon. So he said that it was a paper about AI and I don't know if it was metaverse integration or what. I remember he said it and then I was like, I forget what it was. But I put notes in there below this about something that's a bigger talking point. So, I mean, it was interesting to hear Shara harp on this more than other discussions where she was basically saying, hey, we're putting in serious effort with this. There's a reason that we're writing papers and signing all this stuff off and, you know, really putting our biggest thinking cap on, and the amount of creativity that went behind the creation of Jen's branding, which again, I thought was brilliant. Apparently they're getting into that more. But it's interesting to hear that another paper is coming out that is going to kind of be, ASM paper type thing regarding AI 2.0. Any quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff, I'm not going to be the one that's reading all of these research papers, but it does show like a level of like professionalism that like, hey, we got to make sure we take care of everything, especially if they open source it, that they can kind of back up all the research that they have. So, I mean, I'm excited to see it. So, yeah, it goes over my head. That's a little too techy for me.
Wag me. Yo, not good coming through on that resub for 34 months. Guys, when I first started streaming, I used to stream RuneScape sitting in like the fishing guild. Well, Xander was like the only one in the chat. So coming through on that sweet, juicy 34 months. Thank you, sir. You're a legend. So this is where things get interesting here. And I'm gonna get all of you excited. Because I was excited originally when it was brought up. And then everybody hated it because the filters didn't work. A lot of things weren't working. But I think Aaron clarified this. And this is, I think, one of the problems that people see is like, hey, make this abundantly clear when it's launched. So they bring up Mark. And then immediately they're like, we don't see this as a marketplace. Exactly. This is gonna be where social commerce emerges, because in Asia, that market's already combined. This is going to merge games, commerce, all that good stuff. And there's going to be other activations. They don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but it's going to involve the NFTs. Now, my first question here, before I even look at the chat with you guys typing away here, is Bildo. If Aaron came out and said, hey, guys, with Mark here, don't, put as much of an emphasis on the marketplace right away because we're trying to make this a social commerce platform, do you think the reception would have been better about it? This guy's taking a minute to think about it, Bildo.
Sorry, I had a ear pod issue.
I'm going to buy this guy wired headphones. Every time I've ever called him, man, I think I lost my AirPods. It's broken. It's brutal.
The not marketplace.
The not marketplace. That I like that. That's creative.
It's interesting that they said it. I mean, I think the bigger picture, that's definitely like plausible with like the live stream and uploading of videos. I mean, I feel like in the future we could definitely be doing this stream on the marketplace and, hey, look, we're streaming, minting our ATOM cars, and having it be like a very interactive place. And then like, oh my god, you know what I mean, you could be streaming and somebody's like, I want your car. Yeah, and it's like literally they could buy it all in the same spot. I definitely understand, but that's also exactly how it was presented as far
I
as
was from day one. I was so excited that they had the live stream and the video, and that was my first thought. But then the marketplace, the filters and stuff didn't work, and then I feel like it ruined the pizzazz that it had. And then everybody turned and they were like, "Oh, so it's a marketplace that doesn't actually work, but we're going to make sure videos work." That's intelligent. I'm pretty sure I seen that in a Metablocks meme tweet. But I mean, like it's just it's about like the way that it's like kind of shown and like pitched to us, where I don't know. I just feel like the hype was could have been better and sustained, and then now I feel like people are like kind of judgmental about the whole thing. But what do you? So this is the thing that
or release the video aspect and say, hey, this is going to be, a social type of platform where you're going to be able to stream, upload videos, and a marketplace to come soon when that gets a little bit more developed. You know what I mean? So like you could still like integrate it into, pieces and let the good parts of it shine. Let the parts that need a little bit more development develop a little bit more.
So how the other thing that he mentioned in there was that he didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. Guy doesn't even own any pets, but I mean, maybe he does. But he was saying that the NFTs were going to be a part of this to help connect this, okay, between like the commerce side of things. And like my I guess like reading of that was like, okay, so are you saying that like this marketplace is going to go live and then we can put up our, fluffs, let's just say for breeding, and then we turn into like Zrun 2.0 where you can take a male and a female and like pay to be able to breed your fluff with that person? Or like in what way are they going to be able to combine this where like a creator is going to be able to use the Futureverse NFTs to, I don't know, I guess like make an income, get sales of some sort? Like, how do you see that unfolding? Because that's what I feel like was hinted at within it.
I mean, I think you probably have more insight that it sounds like.
Dude, I don't know. I got no friggin' idea.
Still, my brain is still like, I want to watch that Gen 2 brain or Gen IM music and see what she was talking. I know I'm skipping ahead, but
no, you're good. You're good.
Staying on my mind of like, is like the music producing the brain? Like, I don't know. Sorry to go off a tangent, but
well, we do need to know like how the hell these things work. I feel like we've had discussions about things that were like, okay, like this is good discussion, except like nobody's been able to touch these tools except for you. But I guess it's trying to bring awareness and hype before the product is fully launched, which is something that additionally here is I got a note saying quietly overwhelmed with requests. And that was in comment to the Alibaba announcement, the Catalyzed Research announcement, just in general, Futureverse getting more traction. I thought it was very interesting that he said that they are getting like borderline overwhelmed with how many people are wanting to build en route. You lose an AirPod there, my guy? Or, I don't know if he disconnected on me. But I thought that was interesting. The other things that were said on here is the ATOM cards. They were talking about that and then saying that car enthusiasts own ATOM cards. And that struck me as interesting because I wouldn't consider myself like a car lover, but I own it. And I don't know, like, I feel like a lot of people that are in there, like, I don't see any, like, I follow, like, a lot of Futureverse people, and I don't really see any of them being, like, car enthusiasts in real life. I think ultimately that's the goal that they're going for, but I don't see that as being what it is. And maybe a more relatable thing for those of you that have been NFTs for a while, for NBA Top Shot, there's a lot of people that, maybe passively like the NBA, but weren't like diehard fans. And some of them weren't even fans, period. But they're like, oh, this is collecting things. We like the digital collectibles, NFTs, and this is just kind of a different experience. And I see like a little bit of that with ATOM right now where people are like, oh, we like Futureverse and this is a component of it. Will we see car enthusiast adoption within time? I think yes. I think when I know like a few friends that are in cars, they go to meets and whatnot, but I don't ever see them talking about anything within the digital space. I would even argue most of the people that I know that are into cars aren't even like big video game players. They're just like really passionate about that. So curious as that goes on through time. Shara went
Can you
on.
hear me?
Oh, you're back. What's up, sir?
Okay, sorry.
Dude,
Yeah, don't
I
know what
swear
happened,
I'm
but,
buying you headphones. This is so I'm gonna go into a rant. When we're done this topic, I got a hell of a rant for you. But do you have anything about them being overloaded with requests since the recent announcements,
Yeah.
or the car enthusiasm discussion regarding ATEM?
The first one, I thought it was interesting. At the very end, he kind of threw in, like, made that statement, and then kind of said, especially through our partnerships in the Asian market.
Yep.
So I'm just curious, like, how big or how quick that could potentially scale, especially if it just takes off in markets that we wouldn't see, or we would have no idea if it's crazy popular, if it's just some, random game that, is huge over there that doesn't make its way over here right away.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting. The car enthusiast, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think you have a vast majority of people that are just into the Futureverse and anything Futureverse. And then I think there's somebody like myself that's always loved cars, and like I'm not in a car club, you know what I mean? Like I'm not that high level, but I've always appreciated cars. So like this is like a intriguing, in the same way if there was like, like a UFC or, a boxing, like it's something that I've been into my entire life. So like I'm down for that type of gaming experience. But like I'm not like diehard, but I know Mo has said there's been, people from other countries that are like full blown in real life car clubs that are super into it, but we just don't go into their chat because it's like, I'm not going to go into the Korean chat. You know what I mean? Like I don't speak Korean. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
So, time for my rant here. I mean, absolutely no disrespect when I'm about to say this, because I feel like some people will be like, whoa, hold on. But I am a production aficionado here. Listen, when we talk about trying to make things look good, this doesn't look the best ever, but, we try to put an effort where we can. We got the, the high quality camera, et cetera, et cetera. But my problems with the Futureverse TV right off the bat is like, it felt like the production quality was amazing for like the first like 2 minutes with the trailer, the intro, the backdrop and whatnot. And then it fell like completely flat right away. I think that Craig was kind of going through the script the entire time. I don't know if they need to change the camera or what, but that literally felt like he was reading off the script for most of that, which again, you're kind of new to things. I totally get that, but they need to come up with some kind of thing where if he is going through that, like at the beginning, I remember he was just reading off the script and it was like a full screen of him doing that. I'm like, just throw images on, right? Like if you guys ever watch any of my videos, sometimes I'm going off the script or something. I try to sound like not like it, right? Like if you were just listening there and you didn't have a visual, it didn't sound weird at all, but just like mixed with the visual, it was like, okay, like something's off here, and knowing they were super produced. The transitions between things were like fine, but it felt like they were really off. So like at the end was the most noticeable one because Aaron or Shara finished talking and then Craig said something about humans, but it was like a super short sentence with a huge inflection on the end that felt completely irrelevant to the discussion before. And then it went to like this 5-second split cut of like the word humans and this interaction. And I'm like, wait, hold on. Okay, so that doesn't feel very smooth. And then at the end, Craig signs off and then Aaron goes to talk. So like, I don't know if they just didn't talk at all prior to it, but it didn't feel that flowy at certain points, which again, it's the first episode, so again, don't freak out here. But Aaron is like our Elon Musk, and he needs a better camera. He needs to close the blind behind him. Like I feel like that adds super horrifically to the presentation when the main guy has like a weird angle. And Bildo, you brought up how like his and Shara's background color-wise was completely different, but then it was also like when you looked at them, they were also a little bit different. I don't care what the hell they used as their background, but it felt a little strange from that. And then it was the same thing that happened with like the original Futureverse one. Like it was back in like December or January when they did like the very first one with Nux, and there was like a bird chirping in the background. I have a bird, right? So I'm all about that. But it sounded like there was this weird kind of tick in the background. I'm like, there's always these kind of like small niche things that drive me nuts every time that they do that. And then it really didn't feel like super produced. Like when we're talking about like Futureverse TV, they're in these live studios, this and that. Like it didn't feel like it was overly produced, except for like them playing like 2 videos during it. And then the final thing was that Shara felt like she was kind of checked out for most of that. I feel like they needed to have a bigger back and forth between the two of them on each topic, because I feel like each of them could have talked about every single thing. Maybe they have like an idea where it's, you know, hey, Aaron, I'm going to talk for 2 minutes and then you're going to talk for 2 minutes regarding it or something like that. But it just felt like Shara was used at the beginning about Jen, and then she wasn't used at all for like the majority of it. And then she got some pieces at the end, and then it was like, it felt like people still wanted to have more to say with it. So anyway, any feedback regarding like the production and the flow of things? I swear to God, if your headphones went out again, I'm going to lose it.
Can you not hear me?
All right, he's good. No, you're good. I just heard you now. You didn't say
Sorry.
anything prior to that.
Tybo's trying to get added to the call, so I was looking at
Oh.
ways to potentially add Tybo to the call, but it said if I want to add or join that call, then
Hold on,
I got to
I'll
end this
do
one.
it. No, it's fine.
But
Hold
yeah,
on.
if you can do that. Yeah, I mean,
No, hold on. I just got, never mind, you're back. Go ahead.
All right, back.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
My thing was, yeah, just the reading off the script. I felt like, and again, maybe like, you know, I said this when we were watching it live, but I'm like, I don't mean to, you know, talk shit, but I think you could have potentially done an even better job just because you're already familiar with all of a lot of the terminology, and you can kind of, you know, free flow a little bit better without like directly reading.
Well, I mean, I think, well, I appreciate the compliment. I think it's an in time thing, but yeah, I guess just in the terms of like, it was, you know, highly anticipated. They were ready for it. I thought it could have been a little bit. Like, does it even need to be live? Like, I would just produce the shit out of that. Who cares if it's live? They didn't, like, if you're not interacting with the chat, there is zero reason to ever do something live unless you're just like, hey, we need to create times for these people to go and talk. And so we're just going to do it live. Otherwise, make it a production. Like, dude, I can edit a video so quick if you give me the content and recording, and then you just, I mean, you can fill it with so much where the viewer is always engaged. Because the other thing that I wrote in my notes here is that interview felt like every other Futureverse interview that I've ever watched with Aaron and Shara. Like, for being Futureverse TV, and sorry, I sound super negative on this. I'm really not trying to. But it didn't feel like it had an extra spunk or anything that was different on it for being like the officially broadcast show that they're, you know, going to be making an entire series out of.
I mean, again, I will go back. I thought the beginning intro.
The beginning was insane.
Was
You're
awesome.
absolutely right. The beginning was insane.
I really enjoyed those little sneak peeks of the Aphra cars, the cool cats in there, just everything kind of brought together. A lot of bits and pieces. I thought that was really well produced. Again, yeah, I understand what you're saying. And if it is going to be a podcast, you know, maybe record it live, but, you know, produce it and put it out as a, you know, full piece, or produced piece, and do kind of maybe what you were talking about as far as like, if he is going to be reading off of a script, maybe have something interactive playing on the screen. So it's not everybody's eyes on him, you know.
Yeah, reading the script. Yeah, it always feels awkward. Even as like a host though, if that's happening, you're like, all right, I feel bad. Like I have to read off of this, but show something else.
One, and like it's also exciting to see like somebody new that probably didn't really know or hasn't fully gone down that rabbit hole to kind of start that. So it's kind of like, like we get to enjoy that journey with him as he kind of learns and explores and, you know, kind of gets brought up to speed, and he gets more comfortable with all of the subject matter.
Sure. Tybo, what's going on, boss?
Not much. I think I agree with you. Maybe the first episode was so jam-packed that in future episodes there might be more interaction with the audience, and Craig might be like, be able to answer some questions or read some of the
Well, it
voice.
doesn't really feel like that kind of show though. Like, did you get that impression? Because it felt like more they were just relaying information versus like a Q&A type deal. Like, I don't know if they even had
Yeah,
room to do a Q&A after it.
yeah, I guess because that was such a jam-packed episode, they probably didn't have time for it. You know what I mean? And maybe that's because, but I guess for me, like it felt like, there's this real sense of it being live, and you can't recreate. Production videos are nice, but there's just something nice to me about things being live. And as long as they just work out, not watching him read a script, there could be something visual going on, or when he did Freeform, I think that's fine to have him speaking like the way Aaron Ashara did. But when he's reading the script, they just need to change it up a little bit, so we're not watching him just read a script, because it's kind of like, that doesn't have that professional feel that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, I don't necessarily have a problem watching it live, because at the same time, we're all together in the chat. The community can talk with each other. Like, we all saw the AFA carts and little AFAs in the carts. That was really exciting to see that sneak peek.
Yep,
And
agreed.
and it was live. And like, but when it's pre-recorded, it's like, I don't know. There's just feels like something's missing. That's just my take on it. But
Yeah,
I get,
no,
as long as they
that's
work out those little things, then I think it should be fine. It should
yeah,
be fine.
that's fair. I
And
guess
like, I would say like it almost felt like I feel like when he did the podcast and it was his podcast, and again, maybe that's because it was like a produced podcast and maybe it wasn't like completely live, but I feel like it was very well received and everybody was like, dude, Craigo, like that was awesome. Like it was a very well received podcast in the beginning. And it felt like he was way more comfortable maybe on his own turf, and maybe he was a little bit
Well,
nervous
I wonder
going
if they had
into-
to check off what he said though. Like, do you think that went through a production room, or was it like, hey, here, come up with that?
Well, definitely was pre-written script, because he was reading.
No,
from a
I know,
script
but do you
to
think that
say-
it needed to get like approved or whatever? Because I mean, I just, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think
I
there
mean,
was topics that
yeah, there's
they
probably,
set to discuss.
Yeah,
there's probably multiple people involved with the script to keep the flow going within the hour.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing with the flow, though, is like it definitely felt like they could have tried bouncing off each other a little bit more. That felt very like them, Shara and Aaron being segmented. But just to touch on the chat quickly, Metablocks, I see you. What's going on, sir? I appreciate you chilling. And Cyberlord, you too. Aurorax, think it would have been better to have someone with a big following, or is that just me thinking out loud? And Goose, what's going on? I don't think somebody with a bigger following really matters within this, because it's all done on like the Futureverse official channels. Again, I like Craig. I don't think there was like, I don't think anything was wrong with it. It's just like everybody was like, hey, like, if you're having to read off a script with this, like, and so the worst part, right? And it's funny because one of the local hockey teams that I go to, the guy that's been previously like the in-game announcer that does stuff with like fan interactions, everyone that I've ever seen has done it like just off their mind. But one of the guys locally, like, he brings this huge binder. And so the entire time he's recording and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's game. And we're going to have an absolute banger on here. And like, he's got this big book in front of him. And it just like, it throws everything off a lot. But I don't want to harp on that too much. Let's go for something a little bit more fun here. Is that the next thing that I have written, and Tybo, we can go back to talk about some stuff that we mentioned earlier. But Aaron mentioned that other collections are ready to launch with Dot, and I have in brackets paid ? So what do you guys think these other things that are going to be using dots are coming? Is it going to be paid mints, free stuff? Is it flufflets? Is it something completely different? What do we got? And Tybo, just because you joined, I'll start with you, and then Bill, though, you're next.
Well, I mean, they could do a few things. They could, because we're an avid community and we have like our future score, we could have a free mint for us. But if it is what I'm imagining it to be, this could be like an onboarding experience to their fans, and using this Futureverse tech stack, that the whole minting process is, it's not like the traditional on this day we're going to mint and it's going to be 10,000 only. The way I see Dot is like, there's this pre-built website, just like the goblins. You go to the website and you mint your goblin, or you mint whatever IP that's going to come out, and maybe the users, the super fans, get to have it for free just for the first couple, and then from there we might have to pay if we want to get involved. Because I think it sounds like we're gonna not be able to be participating in every single thing that comes out soon. Like it's
Yeah,
like
true.
trying to
That's a great point.
participate
Great point.
on everything on Ethereum. Like there's gonna become a point where it becomes like, you want to focus on things that you actually genuinely care about. So, and I think that's where I would like to see the space going. It's becoming less of a speculative money-making tool and investing to a genuine likeness to something, and you see personal value for that thing. And I think that's what I feel like Futureverse is creating, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it would be something like another AFA type of situation or FIFA, I'm sorry, to where there's like a game ready to, have people download and play, and it's an infinite amount of characters. Um, I think that could be one possibility. I think another possibility could be like just wearables or customization of different types of like pants, shirts, mask, hats, glasses, whatever, you name it, and just being able to fully customize however you want your particular avatar to look. So collections just expanding to where you're not necessarily like a big mint price, you know what I mean? Maybe it's just like, yeah, now you can, mint any type of clothing that you want on your fluff. You know what I mean? And take it a step further, if we do get access to Dot, like maybe we can design our own, or we can become the creators of, exactly how we want to look. But
Yeah,
just a few thoughts, I guess.
I wonder if it's going to be something that ends up being locked, because it is like, I mean, the Futureverse tools feels like it's for anybody, but some of the things like Dot feel like, okay, I mean, if you're going to create mass assets on scale, it's probably not something that any of us in this call will end up doing. But maybe in Crypto Overlord, cars and voxels will be unlimited too, right? Just Genesis has been minted. I don't know. I think for boxers, like the pros have been minted, but for the rookies, it's probably open.
Yeah, I think there's going to be like non-Genesis cars, and it's been a while since we've had that explained to us on how exactly that's going to work. Because obviously, like, there's only 12,000 Atom cars, and we don't want to limit the amount of cars that are available to people. So
Right.
these might be the Genesis cars, and I'm curious to see how they choose to duplicate the cars in the future and how we can participate in that duplication. But there was another thing I wanted to mention when you were talking about, developers using Dot, and it's more of a developer use case. Well, if you go to the Futureverse / platform, I think it's called, there was a list of like different products that they had releasing, and they had future quests. So like a company could use I don't know if it's integrating our future score, but for different companies around the world, or they're taking the model of the future score for their own customers. So they'll lease out this model
Bro, they're selling us out. They're like, listen, we have a diehard community that will do anything for future quests, and we can get you onboarded to our community. Guys, what's the line? We are building the future.
So it
That's
could be
incredible.
a combination of both, but like there's only so many things you probably would want to opt into. Like if there's a brand you really care about, you might opt into it. But I see this being a thing for like not just when you fly on a plane, you get those points or whatever. Like this could be one of those things, but for like
True.
many different companies.
Rorax with some alpha though. Sorry, don't want to cut you off. There was a photo of Carmen dressed in a drug receipt onesie, and on the whiteboard, not white boy, sheesh, behind her, it said "Flufflets are next." Wag me. And
Flufflets are next, man. That's just crazy to me because like it feels like so long ago that we've been like hearing about flufflets. I've sort of forgotten about them. And just before
true.
someone and not even not like on purpose, but also like with Buzzies, like someone was like, I think it was Herman. He was sharing the Discord, like, look how cool these things look. I'm like, yeah, they do look awesome. When are we gonna do something with them
You
as
know,
well? So
when
like,
is anything gonna happen? I hear you.
the amount of effort, that went into them, you know that there's got to be something juicy coming up eventually. You know, the Third Kingdom white paper and whatnot.
And to
But yeah,
that
that's
point, Tails and Nightmare too says they are hiding a lot more than they are letting on to. You can see it very well planned out and calculated with what they're doing. So, I mean, to that point, Bill, though, I want to bring you in here. I mean, we've been kind of spamming the win a lot here, sir. So what's the buildo prediction? I mean, okay, so apparently Flufflets are next. How fast behind that do you see Jen? Do we end up getting the TTK white paper this year? What's the thoughts going around in Buildo's mind?
I mean, I've had the same stance I've had for a number of months now, that I feel like their main focus has been on getting Root launched. And I believe Aaron mentioned something about that, and I have to go back and rewatch it. Tonight's been a little bit crazy, but I feel like once the Root network is launched, then we start getting all the TTK everything and more full blown experiences. But I think their focus for the past number of months has been getting tokens in our hands to satisfy us in some capacity. And then now it really feels, especially over the last like week or two, with the Mo AI stuff, all of that, it just seems like they're really, really gearing up for Root launch. And then once Root
Hmm.
gets launched, I think we see another quick shift into more of these experiences that we've all been, desperately crying when for.
Tybo, on the end of that, I don't know if you heard, but they were talking about Aaron saying that, hey, community, come on board. If you're building stuff, get in touch. And then he randomly mentioned that they're starting to let like community members become validators. Were you expecting that or what? Because I feel like that's pretty big, and a lot of people were wanting to run validators, but obviously, like the team's doing that right now.
I mean, like what's better or not, like from the team's perspective, what's best for them is to get people that are invested in and that care about being a validator. And who would they source that from? It's a community. So I think it's like the step in the right direction before it goes completely live. And it gives the community a chance. I mean, specifically like Dan, he's expressed wanting to be a validator, and I would love to see him like showcase how he does it and learn from him, because I know that there's a step in every process to running a validator, but I would love to see like a like a the process unfold from him setting one up and how it all works, and how to keep the validator healthy and whatnot, because that's something that I find interesting. I may or may not become a validator, but I would at least would like to have the information available to me to make that decision. But yeah, no, it makes sense to me that the community is going to be one of the first to be a validator.
One of the other things that was mentioned towards the end of all of that was Aaron bringing up tradability of intelligence. Seeing the hint at the AFA carts, I don't know if it's called that, but that was the name that was mentioned a few times. Is the intelligence thing going to end up turning into where it's like Zedrun, where you pay for something to be good at racing, like within that AFA game, obviously, or sorry, with the kart game, but then there's the soccer intelligence with that. I know that before the Discord got reworked, there was a lot of messages around Aaron about how fluffs are going to be supercharged with AI and they can, earn yield in different games that, every game is going to have a new currency. Obviously, like Gods and Goblins, they have junk. But tradability of intelligence here? Where do we look at to compare this? Is there anything that we can compare it to? I guess kind of general thoughts, and I don't know who to throw it to. So whatever one of you got a mind thought, go ahead, and then the other one can rip.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
look at it
yeah,
as
go.
like the APA or the FIFA game. Like, if you've been playing that game, and let's just say for some reason that game gets wildly popular, and then somebody wants to come in and play, but they're like, man, my players suck. And then you can sell them a player that has, thousands of fucking games already played under their belt, and like a pre-trained or ready to go asset. Same thing with like the boxers. Like, they've already said we have pro boxers that are at least have a certain level of capabilities. Then there'll be rookie boxers that'll be open to the public or a large group that can play, but they start as rookie, and they're going to have to evolve. So if somebody wants to skip that process, you can then trade them a pre-trained, intelligence, you know what I mean, to let them skip all the training process, is one way I see that statement being interpreted, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like when you think about these open metaverse experiences, like a procedurally open world where you would travel to Schiller's house and he's got these little fluffets running around and they all sound like rednecks, and you'd go talk to them, and because that's what Schiller wanted them to be like, and it becomes this unique experience for those flufflets that you've created. I'm just making it up as I go, but you get the idea. Like every person's area with their own little AI bots that could then also integrate with other AI bots, and then this could be this like enriching like living world. Like even the animals, like you say you breed like I don't know like some sheep and stuff, and they have an AI brain in them or whatever. Like you know, you just let your imagination go wild. Like how do you make an enriching breathing world? Put AI brains into them all, and then you just see what the community can create out of it. And I think that's like the concept of the third kingdom is like is it's like this user generated world but with fun stuff to do as well. So it's like a mixture of both. That's my take, and I guess we'll find out more as things unfold.
There's some poetic justice to the fact that like the old McDonald had a farm, and then like the McDonald brothers are making rabbits, flufflets, and like all these farm type animals. It's weird. It's a full life circle moment here. Goose, Gen 1 brain splicing, right? Yeah. So okay, here's one of my biggest problems, and like I admittedly I haven't gone over the ASM white paper. I think it's like the only thing like within the ecosystem that I've not like actually attempted to dive into, mainly because I didn't realize that it existed, and then I found that out the other day. But these Gen 1 brain splicing, and I mean Asto energy, all these things that were brought up before, I think they still exist. I don't know. I feel like we've not been updated on like an extremely large amount of different things. And I mean, do we still think that like Gen 1 splicing is a thing? Is there going to be a different model within it? I mean, we're looking at Gen AI and it looks like they incorporate brains. So like, how the hell would you splice brains for that and use it for all these other games? Is it some for what? Like everything just gets so damn complicated.
I think the Gen 1 splicing is still a thing. I'm not sure how that would work with the AI music generation platform, but I see that more of a Gen 2 thing. But at the end of the day, like I mean, it could be Gen 1 where you have this playlist of tracks that you've curated with your Gen 1 brain, and you want to like splice it, and I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see how, because when you splice a brain, you're not just taking on the music tracks that you're also splicing all the training. So say you've trained your brain to the Gen 1 brain to be really good at TNL, and then you've also trained it to be a good soccer player, and then whatever, like, A for cards, like the accumulative memory trees that you create with that Gen 1 brain. The idea is when you splice it, you're passing on all of those memories so someone else can have them. So the more you train your brain and you add things to that memory tree, with different products and services or whatever it be, gaming related or music related. It comes with a lot. So it's just interesting how they might tackle, if someone just wants the music, they don't necessarily want to pay for the whole premium of the Gen 1 brain. It'll be interesting to see how they decide to do that.
Well, brains feel like they
but
have more utility than fluffs now.
Oh, I always thought that. I've always thought brains. When this AI stuff kicks off, and you've got, we got to think about like what else can you train an AI brain to do? You could train it to be your personal AI bot, and if you get really good at that, and then people want an AI bot that can be their own personal assistant, and you show videos showcasing what it can do, and people are like, fuck yeah, I want that brain. You could make a passive income off it, and the idea is, getting the community involved, and like everyone's got a different genome matrix which offer different perks that we could all like figure out how to like make the ultimate brains by like splicing them together. And then there's like AI trading. You can have your own bot that becomes a really good crypto trader that just focuses on like different measures and different TA analysis, and then it decides to do trades, and you make it good. You could sell that bot to someone that wants that, and then they own it, and then they can continue training it and developing itself. So it doesn't become this static thing. Once someone gets a spliced brain, it's a dynamic thing that they can then curate from then on. So it's not the brain's never really capped. So I think Gen 1 brains have pretty like the amount of input you put into a brain is the output you potentially can get out of it if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I know there's a couple of you guys that are in chat here, and I want to read off the chat. And if there's, we haven't really opened it up, being like, yo, if you guys have any comments in the chat, but I'm seeing you guys have different thoughts on what we're talking about. So I would encourage you, if you have any kind of minor thoughts or maybe larger things that you'd like us to discuss at all as we're going through here. But Tails, they've been very quiet about Silo in general, but vocal about ASM when prompted, especially Shara. What do y'all think about that? I think that, Shara is heavily in the ASM brain category. She got brought on through ASM. I think that she loves talking about that. She's more passionate about it. I think that Silo is just incredibly technical, and we're not going to see all of that maybe on the front. Like it's kind of, as she talks about how the technology is hidden, Silo is more of that, and I think that Silo is just more of an infrastructure play, so it's a lot more fun to talk about how AI is doing this, that, and the other thing, and she's probably just more familiar with it. But of course, we do love Silo. We got a bag. I think different brains will have better starting traits in different areas when it's rolled out, it seems, probably. Josh Bro, splicing has to still be a thing because that's how you can take the training and memories and pass them on. You can make an awesome chatbot or racing brain and then splice and sell that. When brain fook, goose true. Tails, crypto works in cycles. NFTs will have their time in the sun. Undermine prices because the community determines it for someone to enter, backed by utility if they've done so well. So, that's an interesting point here. Bill, I'll start with you here. What do you think about Futureverse's massive transition here where the NFTs are incorporated into token, but that wasn't the original kind of idea that we were aware of?
Yeah, I'm always curious to know, and I think they kind of briefly touched on it as far. I've always thought that the idea was there with like non-fungible labs and then knowing centrality behind. I feel like they got approached, and I feel like he mentioned it in one of the podcasts, but like got kind of approached and was like, form this into one, like take all of these pieces that you have from centrality to immersive to non-fungible labs to everything that got rolled up, and said package this all at once and we'll throw some heavy investment into it. And it seemed like they kind of made that transition at that point. However, I think in the long term, it probably delayed things in a number of ways while the roll-up was happening, but I think it probably will accelerate the rate that they can grow, because now they're all under one roof. And I think we're probably just about to start experiencing, that roll up power. I mean, even the stuff that you saw with like Immersive and them doing the Coca-Cola partnership, I think it was it Immersive or Centropay?
It was. I don't know. That's a great
Yeah,
question. Maybe both of them.
It was Centropay showed the vending machine reward points in Australia and New Zealand. You could earn reward points through Centropay.
Do you think that's what
That
Aaron
could
meant
be like,
when he talked
that could
about
be
how it was
another
like a
dot
100-year-old company?
2.0. I mean, that could
Wait,
be
one
another
at a time.
dot 2.0 thing as well. You know what I mean? To where they can just infinitely mint as many collectibles, as many people that sign up or earn those rewards. You know what I mean? Dot could be producing, everything that they're giving away. I have no idea, but just a thought.
Yeah, but is that what Aaron was hinting at when he said like we're working with a 100-year-old company and it's Coca-Cola? I mean, is Coca-Cola even 100 years? I would assume so.
Disney, Warner Brothers are both 100 years old. Just saying. And maybe Coca-Cola as well. It's probably even older, to be honest. But I think, the unannounced IPs, I think IPs seems to be the big player here.
It's brought up all the time, every single partnership. IP.
So it's like almost like just say it already, like,
True.
Coca-Cola
but
was 1986, by the way.
1986. Wait, really? I thought it was way friggin' older.
1886.
Oh, 18. Yo, I thought you said in 86. I was like, no way.
No, 1886.
Oh my god.
It's over 100 years old.
That's incredible.
Yeah, well, 100. So yeah, I mean, it's things like that like we could see a massive impact from something like that, but it's not even on our like Web3, NFT radar. But if all of those transactions are being had or processed or minted or whatever it may be, I feel like we're in a really good place.
Agreed. Quick comment here from Somnium. That was a quote from Captain McDonald. Today we focused on catching up our growing community on who we are and what we have been up to with a bit of alpha. The next one is going to showcase huge things we are about to do. So that's interesting that he said that, because I think that like if that was a catch up for the community, again, a lot more visuals and kind of showing off things, I think would be cool. Because I mean, listen, when we look at this ecosystem thing here, and if anybody's like not watching with the visuals, I'm just on like the Futureverse ecosystem page. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, about 25 companies, including Immersive with a MasterCard logo. We have Cool Cats, Fluff, Muhammad Ali branded thing, Warner Music Group, Authentic Brand Groups, FIFA, What a Workshop that did Lord of the Rings, and like a whole bunch of other like Web3 integrated or Futureverse things. And it's awkward because when we go and talk to somebody about it and you're like, okay, well, what can you do with these different things? I can be like, all right, well, you can play the FIFA game and you can download on your mobile, but everything else, like, I mean, I haven't messed with like Immersive Centropay or whatever, but like, let's take those out for a second. Almost everything else, there's like nothing you can do with it other than like for mintage, you have a pass where you can pay for clothes, drug receipts. They did a similar thing. Thingies can produce like AI art. You have to pay for it again. But these assets, there's like a lot of things that you can't like do with it. So it's interesting that we're, kind of at this stage where they're like catching everybody up, but there's still not these extra components to it. But the ecosystem here is like bubbling and massive. So I guess the question for you guys that are here with me in the call is like, what's the first thing that starts sparking here? Because we're still getting these massive partnerships and whatnot, but there's still like nothing to do with these things for the most part. So is it now just, okay, once these activations go live, is it we still need more partners to get people to grow? Because I mean, I see the numbers, there was an article today, or not an article, but an infographic that said Futureverse has like 500 plus thousand ecosystem members. And, obviously most of that is from like the AI league, but I mean, if all of them don't know their own Futureverse and don't know anything else, like, at what point do people start like cluing in, like, hey, Futureverse is this beast?
I think one of the things that a lot of crypto analysts look at is whether a chain is actually pumping out value. There was this term in the late 2018, 19, like a ghost chain, and basically what that was just a chain that's running, but there's nothing happening on the chain. And I think the way that Futureverse is gearing themselves up to be is actually, from launch, like when they fully get out of beta, like actual, users generating like transactions from the get-go. And like the blockchain doesn't lie. You can look at the vortex rewards, you can look at all these different metrics, and if you're an investor and you see the market cap and you see the partnerships and you see the transactions happening in real time, it like the smart people will always find that value accrual that's hasn't been that the mass crypto market hasn't caught up with yet. And obviously there's always that hype and speculation, but I feel like as the crypto market's maturing, it's getting to that point where people are actually looking at these metrics, looking at these numbers, and seeing, is this coin undervalued based off the network fees and what's being generated on the root network and whatever else is being established on there. So it just comes down to like, is these IP partners going to be an ongoing like transactional experience, or are they all going to be like short one-off mints and then the dust settles? I guess that remains to be seen. But as big names who are reputable get told they're using this network, it's going to encourage more users to use the platform. And when it comes to the invisible tech, like people just want to build a game and build cool experiences. They don't want to have to hire a smart contract developer or any of that stuff to get people to experience the Web3 magic. Because that's, when you look at Walker World, they're hiring like a smart contract developer for their game, and that's expensive, for every game company to have to implement a whole smart contract developer. So just for maybe there's a slight premium to use Futureverse because of all the different value capture models within it is worth it, and because a lot of those fees get back onto the users, so it gets spread out evenly. That it's quite an attractive chain to work on because of the different perks that it offers and the different suite of tools, decentralized comms, AI, it's all this cohesive metaverse suite of products that ends up being like a metaverse operating system. And why wouldn't you want to try that out and see how it develops? And and then as more experiences come on, we get that full metaverse interoperable experience, which is we haven't seen yet. So it'll be exciting to see that unfold over the next 5 years.
It'll be happening soon, though, right? So just to go on the chat super quick, and then Bill, I'll come to you. Tails, if I were to rank the cryptos in the ecosystem, it's Root first, followed by Asto or XRP for gas, then Silo the infrastructure, which will in turn drive value to the NFTs, as this is a trademark of the artist industry. I also think there's a reason they're going with their own type of NFT marketplace over OpenSea. Well, I mean, I think everybody's doing that. I think OpenSea is just kind of over. Like, everybody's wanting to create their own marketplace. Everybody's able to funnel things their own way now with just the way that smart contracts have evolved. I think you're just going to see everybody having their own marketplace there, and we'll see. And OpenSea apparently cut like half of its staff or some shit the other day. Josh, bro, now the next partnership or two will be an activation, I think. Yeah, I think it has to. I was surprised with the Gen partnership not having one, but then it wasn't quite as big as we expected up front. Yeah, I thought there would be some kind of like thing where you'd be able to play with it instead of like just a paper, but I guess it's just the hype cycle that they go through. And Tails, they're starting to get in now. New people will be coming every day. So Buildo, with new people coming every day, we saw that Futureverse has reached out to like a Bybit network of partners, and wow, the timeline's been very interesting because all of a sudden the other day there was all these accounts that had 150,000 plus followers making these tweets about Futureverse. One of them even said that the Root network chose like Root, or Futureverse chose Root, or some kind of like absolutely gobbledygook that didn't make any sense, and you could tell that they were like just paid for the tweet. But I don't know. Like personally, I'm flabbergasted that the initial tweets that went out were like all these giveaways about like some USDT thing, and then highlighting this Bybit exchange, which I don't know, maybe Bybit's the exchange for Root, but I also thought that it came across like kind of weird, where I had like Noam Root comment on one of my things saying, oh, this is a scam, and then I made a post being like, oh, sorry, I took this down, and then it turned out to be true. So there's a lot of, I don't know, this mix into crypto influencers that are apparently a part of this network. Did you have any thoughts on the way that that's gone?
I wish it
mean,
could go better.
It hasn't affected my timeline as much. I have seen it a fair amount. I guess like to me, it's way more like tokenish than NFT-ish. I know it hasn't been recepted very well through the community, but like if
We lose Bildo with his AirPods that don't work. It's tough. Tybo. Any thoughts on the influencer tweets? Unless I got rugged, maybe it was me. Tybo, are you here? Oh, maybe it's me. Oh, you're both muted.
sorry about
Sorry,
that.
I was muted.
What in the world is going on? These guys are like secretly having a call with themselves, muting them. I can't hear them, and now they're back. That's crazy.
I apologize.
I was just saying, like some influencer posts were great. Some were like you can clearly see that there's bots following them, saying, "Oh, this project's amazing."
Yeah, it
And
was
then you
bad.
saw, like-
It was really bad on some of them.
And then there were some that were actually had real, like, oh, this is an interesting project. I want to know more. And I checked out the Telegram channel, and there's a bunch of bots in there, but there's also people actually wanting to know about the project. So when one person's better than no people, in my opinion. And what I would like to see is that guerrilla marketing, where there would be like some really good Telegram or Discord AMAs, like getting out there to all these people that are like genuine crypto communities that are actually here to like invest in good projects, like trying to funnel into those communities so we can actually get those people on board. And I think that just takes time. Like Raoul Paul, when there's a proper interview with them about the whole network and what they can showcase and show people.
Raoul seemed incredibly bullish on Futureverse. Did you guys see that clip that I don't know if it was NFT Bro, I don't know if it was Metablock. Somebody clipped it of maybe it was Floating Coconut. I don't know. I don't know who the hell it was, but somebody clipped the one thing, and he was like, "My friend invested in this. I'm super interested in the Aaron McDonald interview that just happened."
Well, I think it's 10T or T10 or whatever it's called. They're like, I think it's Dan Tapiro. I can't remember his name. I'm butchering it, but he's been on talked with Raoul Paul directly. And they have a really good, tight relationship. And 10T's like, I think, on par with Ripple and how much they've invested into Futureverse. And they have a really good relationship with Raoul. So like there's already good recommendations from people that he finds reputable. So it comes down to like Aaron and him actually having a chat. I think that's going to be some magic when there's a full on just a long form conversation where they can get down and dirty of all the nitty gritty stuff that we've been excited about for the last year. And with Aaron looking what it looks like to be some product releases and some big partnership announcements, it's going to be even a bit of a heavier hit when he's able to talk about those things. So I'm patient and I'm excited to see more videos develop with the Real Vision platform.
So the final thing that I have for us today before we wrap things up, and I'm going to get both of you guys to touch on this, is that we have the first cycle for the Vortex ending soon. Everybody's got staked Root. We're going to find out what all of this goodie is going to happen, whether it be exchanges, just being able to trade this stuff outside of OTC deals, et cetera, et cetera. as we approach this vortex ending, I'm curious if you guys have any general thoughts on things. I think that for myself, seeing how much the bootstrap rewards include root is going to be massive. I think that there is a lot of people that probably forgot about the fact that there's like a 28-day cooldown period or whatever after you unstake. So there is kind of that long period if you're like, hey, I don't want to stake my root anymore, of having to wait for that to be able to have access to it. But it seems that there is a lot staked, and the XRP on the network right now is 306,000, which I don't even know what the price of our XRP is right now, but we can go and check. So right now, XRP is 66 cents. So if we do 66 times 306,000, we are at $201,000 USD worth of volume traded on the Root network right now, when, I mean, I would argue almost nothing is happening. So arguably this number could end up 100xing. We have no freaking idea whatsoever. But how are you guys kind of looking at this? Is this something where you just constantly adding more root because we have the quest ending, and anytime as quest 4 just ended, once you get that root, you're just throwing it in there to try to maximize on the future score? Is it something that as soon as this first cycle is done, you're gonna start that withdrawal process? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
You can go first, Builder, if you want. If he's not here, I'm happy to just max stake. Maybe I'll figure, because with the vortex rewards, the way that it works is you got to unwind them, and I like, you're gonna unwind a little bit of Asto, a little bit of Silo, because there's a tiny bit in there, because it's all those tokens divided equally to everyone, right? So there's going to be a little slice of every token that's in there given to everyone in the pool that's staking. So the idea is that you're going to get some XRP, you're going to get some root, and until the DEX goes live, like, I'm happy to just unwind and have some XRP for gas, because I feel like I keep running out until the BYO gas economy gets up and running. Like, it's going to be nice to have some XRP available to me. So I'm just going to unwind, suss it out, maybe stake, like, because whether or not we don't know what the quest 2 rewards are going to be like. Like, I might, I'm a little bit of a degen trader at heart. Sometimes when the market's hot, I like to play the market when there's clear trends going on. So I might trade some root to earn more root, or I might just max stake. I just will play it by ear as it unfolds. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to the unwinding of the vortex and seeing how that all works and getting a better idea of it all. And yeah, just playing it by ear.
Yeah,
see how the rewards come in.
Josh Bro says, does the DEX need to be live then for the end of staking? I don't think a DEX would be needed for the vortex unwinding, but I mean, like, to move around or bridge, I mean, I don't even think that needs a DEX. I mean, I would assume that stuff's super close, and like probably a good assumption to say that's probably going to be live by then. And Tails, the way it works is phenomenal because you can keep it staked and still have something separate. You can unwind. You never have to be fully staked and have some liquidity to play with. Yeah, and I mean, I guess this is kind of like an iteration on their Asto Energy system. But Builder, are you back, or are we having headphone issues again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, brother.
It seemed like it was fine for me. I mean, personally, I feel pretty comfortable with the amount of quests coming up and rewards about to happen. I will forever probably have, while it is available, the amount that I have staked right now. I can probably safely say that in 2 years from now, I will have at least that much continued to be staked. And I'll continue to probably add to the pool, but it'll be interesting. I feel like this next, I guess to the end of the year should get pretty interesting with the way it might all play out. So I want to continue, but I will probably hold some just in case as well. But, we'll we'll see how it all plays out. But I do think a Sex and a Dex are coming very soon. I think we get that for sure by the end of the year. I think we get it by the end of the month. But just
Oh, well,
my personal opinion.
I just realized something. So, Moai, I looked up how to say the bloody name because I was like, is it Moai? Like, what is this? But if you look up, it's like, it's
Yeah, I got it. I
Moai.
got it.
Yeah. Basically, that's gonna have its own token, right? Just like Uniswap has its own token. Joe was a token on AVAX. There was like Spirit on Phantom. There was another one on Solana. And the first DEX, QuickSwap was on Polygon. Usually the first DEX is like a really good lucrative opportunity to accumulate that token. And one of the ways that you do that is by literally providing liquidity pool, like providing to the liquidity pool. So one of the things that I'm planning on doing, and we might run, if you wanted to, Sheila, we could run through a video on like what's LPing and make a short video on it, just for some fun, just to teach the community and how to earn like the Moai token, because the ultimate goal for Moai is to be this cross-chain liquidity pool for the XRP ledger, and there's this EVM sidechain that's connected to the XRPL ledger as well. And it looks like XRP is starting to gear into getting into the smart contract functionality. And if Moai is like the cross-chain bridge to all these different XRP ledger dexes, and you are earning the Moai token for like 3 different blockchains, it could potentially be a lucrative like play early on to farm the rewards. And if you're like bullish on XRP and you're bullish on Root and you want to provide liquidity, it can be like another alternative to staking to get exposure to the DeFi ecosystem on the Root network and beyond. The way that Moai explained in the Medium article, it sounds like they've got some ambitious ideas with being the cross-chain DEX. So yeah,
Imagine being the cross-chain Dex with only 266 followers. Holy sheesh! It's kind of crazy though, but I mean, I guess that just shows like how early we are with different things. Tails, I have screenshots to prove that it's confirmed. FYI, I am not sure what you're saying unless you're just saying like Moai and Futureverse are partner. And Kiwiana, what's up? How are you? Bildo, any thoughts on the Moai? Sorry, Tybo said it. Now I'm botching it. Bildo, any thoughts on this thing? Bildo?
Oh yeah, just to give you, just because wait till Builder gets back, just to give you an idea, like during the DeFi bull run, first it was Ethereum, then Binance Smart Chain came out, and there was Burger Swap and Pancake Swap, and that went to like
all the swaps.
Like I was, it was really funny. I missed out on Pancake Swap, but this was me degening like back then. And one of the things that was very common is like if you're there early, providing liquidity to a DEX, like that was like a gold mine. That was like the gold mine of the DeFi era back in 2021. So it's just something to not underestimate the potential of, if you believe in the success of the Root Network and Futureverse, and Moai is the first mover advantage. Don't fade it. Look into it. Do some research. Is all I'll say. Don't be thinking it's too hard. It's not complicated. You just need to learn a few things, and anyone can do it. But yeah, just something that I think is going to be quite lucrative. Personally.
It went from 73 cents to $41, basically. Pancake Swap.
Exactly. That's just crazy. Like Joe went.
Gotcha, Tails.
Like bonkers. Uniswap went bonkers. Sushi Swap went from like 20 cents to like $30. Like
the WAGMI vibes.
There's so many like crazy like charts when you look at the DeFi of 2021, that a lot of the DeFi protocols on the different chains, if you were there early, you got those juicy rewards.
Yeah, I'm
Build
excited for
there we
it.
go.
I think we need a little bit more info still, and I'm sure that's to come in due time with official announcements and things of that nature. But I'm excited for the potential to be able to swap in whatever fashion, whether that be root to XRP just for now, or in some type of like putting a actual value and seeing the value discovery of root. We've all speculated it on, for hours and hours and days and months and months. So I'm excited to see that really come to fruition and how it all gets rolled out or continues to get rolled out. I don't have as much experience as Tybo, but like I feel like there is some very lucrative potential, but also do your own research and I'll wait for some more details to come out before making any crazy decisions. But I'm really excited. I mean, I really do feel like they're hitting it from every different type of angle, and like we're just getting the wheels turning on the train, and we're about to be like trucking along here pretty good for the next foreseeable future.
So apparently the alpha that was previously mentioned, if you missed it earlier, is that flufflets are next, per a photo of someone wearing a drug receipt onesie with that written on a board behind them. Now, we've also known that they have said that when flufflets launch, there's going to be an activation and or quote unquote something to do with them. And I've brought up Zedrun earlier. Those breeding pairs went crazy early days Zedrun. And then Axie Infinity is another breeding NFT, digital collectible, whatever you want to call it. That did insanely well as well. So to build those point, that's going to be very interesting if that does happen soon. Do you remember, Tybo, what the ratio of rewards to amount provided to an LP was in general for a new DEX? Or do they all vary widely? Tybo, I'm not sure.
So the idea early on is that to encourage, like, what makes a DEX great is deep liquidity, and to encourage deep liquidity, they offer really good rewards early on. So the most optimal time to take advantage of a new DEX is being early and providing liquidity, because that's what's really important to a DEX, is to have deep liquidity. So they offer a lot of tokens to those people that are early, so there's actual like a healthy liquidity pool for the different coins. So it always seems to be dynamic, but early on seems to be where you make the most.
Josh, bro, I didn't read that as Flufflet's being released next. That was a shot at the Futureverse HQ over Halloween where someone killed a fluff and wrote Flufflets are next on the whiteboard. Listen, it's all about context. And if you remember, back in the day, the song Old MacDonald Had a Farm, and we have 3 McDonald's, and they're basically making it a farm, okay? That's it for this episode of I don't know what the hell we're calling it. Tybo, Bildo, I appreciate you jumping on. If you're tuned in right now and you're like, hey, this has been fun the last couple of minutes since you've tuned in, go check out the VOD. This is like almost 3 hours of talk. Post the 1 hour of the first Futureverse TV session. We gave critiques, we gave breakdowns, we recapped some things and gave a little bit of a speculative touch to it. So again, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Of course, we'll be continuing to do these different things throughout, and keep an eye to the YouTube for other Futureverse and just NFT content in general.